The girl walks down the corridor and coughs heavily. She also grabs the wound on her stomach. And she wonders if this is the end, because she was badly wounded and she won't last long. The young lady also slides down to the floor and realizes that she does not regret anything, because nothing in her life was the way she wanted. The girl was born the daughter of a maid and was reproached for her dirty blood. The young lady never let her experience the joys of family life, and her father only insisted that all she could do for her family was to make this marriage happen. The girl now thinks about Duke Khed and understands that because she married him, he was called the embodiment of evil. Then in the end she plunges into eternal sleep there, and this place was hell, but now the girl has tears in her eyes. She says that she wants to live at least a moment following her will. At this time someone bursts into the room. Then he turns to Idris and asks who did it. The girl then thinks how he found out about it. After which she turns to Khed and the man asks if she is in pain, and also if she wants to survive. The girl then nods, and the boy claims that he can save her. He takes out his sword and its sheath and asks if Idris believes him. The girl then wonders if he said that she believes him, after which she says that not a little, and the man says that then she should start trusting him from now on, after which he swings his sword, and when the girl closes her eyes he says that they will meet again. A little while later the girl is already sitting on a chair. The maid turns to the mistress and asks if something is wrong. The main character waves her hand and claims that nothing is wrong. She is just a little worried. Idris realizes that she had a terrible dream in which after only a year of married life with the Duke, she was attacked by an assassin and died. Everything was so realistic that it seemed as if red liquid was about to gush out of her stomach. At this time, the maid turns to the lady and says that it is natural since she is getting married and that is why she is nervous. After which she strokes her mistress's hair and says that she is ready, and also that today she will outshine everyone, and the great Archduke will definitely fall in love with her when he sees her incomparable appearance. The main character then thinks, is he really incomparable? And is she beautiful? But what is the use of this if she is still forced into marriage? After which she thanks the maid, but then remembers this terrible dream and trembles a little. Well, she finally understands that it's just a dream and there's no need to worry so much. At this time, someone else enters the room. The main character asks if this is Mr. Kai, and the guy claims that it is for a half-breed. She looks quite confident. The maid at this point covers her mistress and says that soon there will be a ceremony, and everything will have to be redone if he messes up. The guy then smirks and says that of course because she is the Duke's bride, and how dare he touch her. The main character then looks at him furiously, and the guy only claims that she better behave appropriately. After all, Idris knows that she must gain the favor of the Archduke for Beatrice's family, and she can already imagine what will happen to her if she fails to win his heart. He also tells her to try not to tarnish their family's reputation, after which he passes by the girl. And he touches her, causing the main character to fall to the floor, and also understands that he deliberately pushed her, but someday she will bring him to tears. The maid asks if the mistress is okay, and he tells her not to cry because the wedding is about to start and it seems she squeezed her hand too tightly. So the girl asks what to do, but the main character claims that if he powders himself and puts on a veil, he will be invisible. A little while later, the maid does just that and says that everything is ready, and they are just in time. The main character then agrees, after which she leaves the room and realizes that this moment has finally arrived. After all, she is now heading to the wedding with the Archduke. When the girl enters the church, she realizes that this is the same scene she saw in her dream, and gets a little scared. However, at that very moment someone grabs her hand and the main character asks the gentleman what is going on, but he only tells the girl to be prepared for the worst if she makes a mistake. The young lady then bows and follows on. She also thinks that for some reason, because of today's dream, it seems like she has déjà vu, as if she has already experienced all of this. Well then, the girl thinks that she is mistaken, and now she just needs to please the person standing next to her. In her dream, she could not answer the priest's question, and now he is addressing the girl. The Archduke grabs her hand, and the priest asks if she swears eternal love for her chosen one, Khed Ruin. The girl understands that all this is different from a dream, and now she is in reality, and also get out of the house and live as Togo wants. So now she says yes. After which, the priest pronounces them husband and wife. A little while later, the young lady is already in the bathroom. The maid tells her ladyship that she has such good skin, and the other maid claims that it is true because she is even afraid of leaving marks on it. The main character thanks them and then she is dressed. One of the maids then tells Her Highness and that the Archduke will come to the bridal room. Idris says that it is good and she will go there herself, after which she thanks them for their work. Well, then someone comes into the room and says that means the girl hasn't fallen asleep yet. When the young lady turns around, then he sees that it is his lordship, and the man claims that if she has already looked around, then he will go. But the main character then turns to the Archduke and says that if it becomes known that they did not have a wedding night, then her reputation as an Archduchess will go very low. The man then says that it is fine and they will follow the contract. Now the young lady suddenly starts to put on perfume and the maid asks if everything is okay, but they are holding her. The girl then realizes that it was all a hallucination and says that everything is fine and that she was just thinking. One of the maids claims that they are terribly worried about the mistress, and it seems that the bathing can be brought to an end. Another maid then hands over some clothes and claims that the mistress has prepared a comfortable nightgown. Idris realizes that she is familiar with it, and she is sure that this is the same nightgown from her nightmare. Same wedding, same bath filled with flower petals, but her belly is intact. Although the pain is still felt, the young lady wonders if she really came back a year earlier. And also is the same thing waiting for her in the bedroom, after which the girl immediately starts running away, and the maid screams at her in shock. The young lady understands that today is her first day there, but she knows everything about this place, and in such detail that she can list the order and names of the portraits on the walls. But she still thinks how she returned to the past. The maid at this time in shock asks her ladyship what happened and let her say what worries her because they will fix everything. The girl claims that she needs to check something, so let them understand her and understand that it doesn't matter how she got there. But this time she definitely won't fall into eternal sleep, and as far as she remembers, in the past the Archduke joined later. However, when the girl bursts into the room, she is very surprised because she sees the Archduke sitting on the bed and asks if she came. The guy also smiles and says that she has such a face as if he should not be there. And the main character is shocked and wonders if something has really changed, after which she says that it is an honor for her to greet his lordship. However, the young man turns to Idris and says that she is now his wife, so there is no need to be so polite to him. The young lady then agrees with his lordship, and the guy just turns around and tells her to change this address, after which the young lady asks what she should call him then. And the young man tells her to just call him Khalid, after which he asks if she likes him. The girl understands that in the past, he allowed her to call him by name only a few months before she fell into a crippling sleep, and now she says that he did not do so at all. After which the guy says that if that's the case, then let her say his name, and the girl does so. Khalid then says that everything is exactly like that, and Idris must be nervous since today is the first day. The girl replies that yes, she has mixed feelings, so she asks him to forgive her, and the man claims that running is of course good for you, but he hopes that next time she won't do it dressed like that. The young lady replies that she will be careful. After which the Archduke says that it is good, and he was already thinking about gouging out the eyes of everyone who saw her body. The main character asks what he is talking about, and the guy replies that it's a joke. Idris understands that he never joked. The guy then only approaches the young lady, after which he takes her hand and pulls her onto the bed. The girl is a little surprised by this and asks his lordship to wait. However, at that very moment, the young man looms over her, and the main character wonders if he is really going to do this now. Well, after this, the guy just smiles and claims that the girl is probably tired today, so she should go to bed. But when he sees that there is a bruise on the girl's hand, he asks what's wrong with her hand. The main character replies that it was before the wedding and realizes that the powder must have rubbed off when she took a bath. But back then she was squeezing her hand too hard, which is why this mark appeared. Now she claims that she most likely hit something. After which the young man asks if she really thinks he's a fool, but it seems his wife doesn't trust him yet, so there's nothing to be done. The man also heads towards the door and states that however this will change soon, after which he wishes her good night, and the girl understands that if he leaves like this, then eventually she will have to say the same thing, and she claims that if it becomes known that they did not have a wedding night, then her reputation as an archduchess will fall very low. The Duke is a little surprised after this, and also asks why she is saying this again, after which she takes off her shirt. And the main character understands that she thought that now everything is different, but in reality, well, when the girl opens her eyes, she thinks why it is so quiet there. And the Archduke is only interested in whether she says that her reputation will be ruined, and this is a bit old-fashioned, but should serve as strong evidence, after which the guy comes out into the corridor shirtless, and the young lady wonders if he really understood that she was scared and took care of her. But she ran away from him down the corridor, and Khalid shows attention to her and also behaves differently, so she doesn't understand why this is so. The next morning, the girl hears someone knocking on the room and telling that person to come in. They turn out to be maids, and they wish Her Highness a good morning. One of them claims that the Archduke is waiting for her in the dining room. The main character is a little surprised after this, even when she is already sitting in the dining room with the Duke. Then he wonders why the events are so different from the past, and whether it really was all a dream. The girl also asks if his lordship slept well, but he only addresses Idris, after which the young lady is a little surprised. However, the guy tells her to call him by his name, and also states that if she is uncomfortable, she can do whatever she wants with him, and it's probably hard to get used to the informal way of addressing him in just one day, but he didn't even think about it. The girl then replies that everything is not so, and she is simply not used to it, and she will also try to call him Khalid. After which the Archduke replies that it is good, and then they can start eating, and he also hopes that she will like it. The main character looking at the guy thinks if he has ever smiled like that, after which they start eating, and the Archduke turns to the young lady and asks her if she likes it. The girl replies that yes, and it is simply delicious. After which the guy is a little surprised, but then with a smile on his face, he says, "Thank God." Idris looks at him in shock and then just bows his head and wonders why he is smiling at her like that. After this, the guy only tells his wife to eat a lot, and the young lady understands that he has not shown his smile to anyone, including her. The young man claims that after the meal, Ethan will show her the castle, and the young lady thinks that it is again this kindness that he continues to bestow on her since yesterday. So the young lady just turns around and asks if Ethan will show her the way. The girl realizes that he is Khalid's assistant and the only one who was kind to her. In the past, most of the people in the castle disliked her so much that even her status as Archduchess meant nothing to them. The brunette at this time turns to the young lady and claims that he would gladly do it himself, but he has a lot of work. The main character understands that she had nowhere to expect protection. The young man then apologizes, and the girl wonders if these are really the words of the Archduke, after which she smiles. She replies that of course she understands everything, and also thinks that in the past he never paid attention to her. The guy at this time claims that he is very happy, and then they will see each other later. A little while later, the girl is already looking at the mansion, and Ethan asks how she likes his lordship. The girl replies that he makes you fall in love with his beauty and tranquility, which are not found in the Empire. And there she feels at peace, after which the Archduke's confidant smiles and claims that he is glad to hear this because he was afraid that he would not be liked because of the rumors. And the Archduke may seem scary, but he is actually a very good man. The girl then thinks about the rumors but claims that she does not pay attention to gossip. She understands that it all started when one day the father brought the boy, declaring him his son. In Khaltes, red eyes were considered a sign of the devil, so Khalid was not known from the best side. In addition, the guy made a great contribution to winning the war, and this gave rise to rumors that he was possessed by a demon. Now the young lady says that she especially does not pay attention to those rumors that talk about his eye color, and these conversations are worth nothing. The youth then claims that his lordship had been attacked by many people since childhood because of his red eyes, and his reserved behavior only convinced them that he was right. The main character then wonders if the boys have been oppressing her since childhood, but this reminds her very much. That's why the girl now says that she didn't know about it either. The young lady also understands that he had a hard time, and she is sure that a feeling of hopelessness was his constant companion at that time. Ethan at this time asks if he talks too much and apologizes, and also claims that he will show her another floor. However, the young lady realizes that she is wondering if Khalid knows about her childhood a little while later. Ethan approaches his lordship and claims that he showed the castle to his wife. The man then asks how everything went, and Ethan replies that they talked a little about him. The Archduke then asks in shock what she said, and Ethan thinks that he should just admit that he was worried about his wife's opinion from the very beginning. So now the blonde man claims that her ladyship doesn't care about rumors, and the young man asks if the gentleman thinks that she is very wise since she doesn't let gossip deceive her. The Archduke remains silent after this, and the blonde man claims that it is already late, so he thinks that the girl will wait for the master in the bedroom. However, the Archduke tells the guy to stop talking nonsense and get out of there. After Idris finally leaves the room, the Duke only says his wife's name. And also embarrassed, she says that she is waiting for him and he should visit her after all. He was given the opportunity to meet her again. A little while later, the man already enters her room, and he claims that he thought she was sleeping. The girl replies that she was just about to, and the man says that the tour of the castle took a lot of her strength, so she should go to bed. He also wonders if the girl is afraid of him, to which the young lady replies that she is a little, and the Archduke asks what the reason is. Idris replies that he is a man to be feared, but the man says that she shouldn't, and the young lady wonders why he keeps making that face. Khalid claims that he never did anything that could scare, and on the contrary, he saved her, after which the young man turns around and tells Idris to rest. The young lady then wonders what he meant since she was plunged into a crippled sleep from the knife wound. The next morning, the girl already smells flowers when she opens her eyes. Then he sees black flowers in front of him. The young lady also says that they have such a bright scent, and black rose in the language of flowers. It means that you are mine forever. The young lady also cannot be embarrassed and thinks whether the cold-blooded Archduke did this. But then she realizes that he probably sent them without knowing it. The maid turns to the mistress, and he asks if it was really his lordship who sent them, but they are the same color as the lady's hair. And in general, his lordship is a romantic, and when you see something like this, you immediately understand that the words that he can plunge all the women in the world into eternal sleep are just dirty gossip, but in fact he is such a person. But then the girl is a little surprised and says that she behaved unforgivably. The main character then turns to Elsa and says that she doesn't know how it is in other places, but now she is in Kaltes, so she needs to watch her language. The maid at this time only asks her ladyship to ask her, or asks whether to put flowers in a vase. The main character then smiles and says yes, but then she sees something else on the bed. And he asks what it is and whether it is from the Duke. The girl then opens the postcard, and he sees that it is written there that they must go somewhere with her, and also that he will come for her at 1 o'clock. The main character is then in shock and thinks that Khalid, who never invited her anywhere, will come for her, so now she asks what happened. And the maid replies that the mistress was probably invited on a date. She also points to the flowers. And she says that the Archduke even sent them to her. In her opinion, this is definitely a date, and this is wonderful. The main character then wonders if this is really a postcard with a bouquet of roses, and if they were from another man, she would have the same thoughts as Elsa. But Khalid is not such a person. The maid at this time turns to the mistress and claims that she heard that the day of the foundation of Kaltes is coming soon, and maybe he plans to prepare for the ball in honor of this day. Idris then asks if his lordship wants to prepare with her, and the maid replies that yes, and she also believes she doesn't have a suitable dress for such an evening, and why not inform the Archduke about this today? The girl understands that Elsa is right and she does not have a dress for such an occasion, because in the family she was allowed. Wearing only the old clothes of the master's wife, all her dresses have long since fallen behind fashion. And these people hated her so much that there was no talk of spending money on her. Because of this, it was very difficult for him and Elsa to find anything suitable in the past. Well, this time she has a strong feeling that everything will be different. A little while later, the girl turns to her ladyship, and he says that everything is ready. Looking at the lady, the maid sparkles, and then the Archduke himself enters the room, and also turns to Idris. After that, he approaches the girl and kisses her hand, and also says that she is beautiful as always. The main character is a little embarrassed by this, after which she turns around and asks if they don't need to go. The man replies that yes, he doesn't know if she knows, but in a few days there will be a festive ball, and he also wants to pick out outfits for them. The main character, looking at her husband, thinks how handsome he is. Well, then she shakes her head in shock and thinks how she can even think about such a thing. The young man at this time turns to Idris and asks how she likes Kaltes. The girl replies that it is a very beautiful country, and the young man is only interested in whether she likes her and whether anyone was rude to the girl. The main character then realizes that no one has ever asked her opinion except Elsa. That's why now she answers with a smile on her face that she likes it, and everyone is very kind to her. The Archduke then only smiles and asserts that, of course, everything must be like this. After all, he ordered them, after which the girl is a little surprised and wonders what he is talking about. A little while later, they find themselves in front of Madame Redmond's boutique, and the young lady looks at him in shock. She understands that Madame Redmond is very demanding and that she treats aristocrats based only on her impressions. And besides, the dresses she sewed are quite expensive, even for people of high society. The main character realizes that she would be happy with just a new dress instead of the Duchess's hand-me-downs. The Duke at this time says that she should stop thinking and go with him, after which he takes her hand and they head there. Then the owner of the boutique meets them and says that it is such an honor to greet the Archduke and Archduchess, and she was expecting their arrival. At this time, Khalid turns to the girl and asks if she likes it there. But he brought her there because the place was popular among aristocrats. The main character then, in shock, thinks about what he said and how much money and jewelry he must have to buy dresses from Redmond. Now the young lady replies that no, that's not it because she just doesn't understand clothes. After which they immediately begin to measure her, and Mrs. Redmond asks her ladyship if she has the desired dress design or color, and let her just say because they are going to bring it. However, the Archduke then tells them to stop and also to show all the dresses in her size. The woman then agrees and also says that she will do it right away, after which luxurious dresses are brought there, and the main character turns to the Archduke and also claims that she will not be able to try on all of this. The man says she is right and then points to one of them and says it is from there. And he buys everything to the end. The main character then looks at him in surprise and the owner is completely shocked. The young lady then turns to the Archduke and argues that he does not have to go that far. She realizes that at this rate, a fortune will be spent. However, the guy claims that his assistant will take care of the payment and let them try to deliver it to the palace by tomorrow. The boutique owner then agrees and the main character tells Khalid to wait. When he already enters the carriage, the girl claims that she thought that they would pick out suitable outfits. However, the guy claims that the ball was already in a few days. She had to buy everything in a hurry, and next time they will buy clothes to her taste. The main character is then in shock and thinks, is this really not the end? But she doesn't think that she will have time to wear all the dresses that he bought today. And the girl wonders if Khalid always led such a luxurious life. Well, then she understands that he never spent money on unnecessary things, and all this attention to her would not have brought him any benefit. So now the girl asks why he is so kind to her. The Archduke replies that it is because she is worthy of it, and takes the girl by the hand, and also claims that therefore she will do whatever she wants. Idris is embarrassed after this, and also wonders if he says that he will do everything for her, but it seems so. After a real confession, the young lady turns away in embarrassment, but then her stomach starts to rumble, and the young lady wonders why this had to happen now. The girl also thinks how ashamed she is, and the Archduke at this time asks if Idris is hungry. The girl replies that she did not sleep yesterday and she got up late, so it was awkward to eat at such a time. The Archduke only asks worriedly if she couldn't fall asleep, and the young lady wonders why he's looking at her like that. And he also thinks that if she says that she couldn't fall asleep because of his words, it may seem as if she fell in love with him, so now the girl only claims that she did not get enough sleep because she had a nightmare. And the girl apologizes for disturbing her. The man at this time asks what kind of nightmare this is, and the young lady wonders what suddenly happened to him and claims that she died in him. The girl also understands that she shouldn't have blurted it out and that she probably shouldn't have talked about it. The young man then claims that it can't be because she should definitely remember. However, the main character then asks if he said anything, after which the guy replies that nothing, and asks if there was anything else in that nightmare. The girl replies that there is nothing special and that it was just a bad dream. The Archduke then sighs and says that perhaps this is so, and he also hopes that they will torment her more from now on. The young lady then thanks Khalid and claims that she must not have gotten used to the new bed yet, after which the man tells her not to be shy about telling him if something causes inconvenience. He also says that they got into a conversation and the girl is hungry, so he suggests they eat first. A little while later, the girl is already sitting in front of an exquisite table and says that it looks so delicious. The Duke then hands her a piece of meat and tells the girl to eat more. The main character then opens her mouth and thinks that she feels a little awkward. But when she eats the dish, she no longer cares about all this. Her young lady turns to the Archduke, and he says that he should also try it because it is very tasty. However, the Duke claims that he has already eaten and everything is fine. And also, if she likes this food, then that's enough for him. The main character then thinks, is it really so? And also understands that she always did everything alone. Well then, the young lady notices someone looking at her and saying that the cook doesn't have to worry because everything is so delicious that she can't stop admiring it. The man then claims that he is honored to receive praise from her ladyship. And the main character thinks that she is so happy that she was able to taste such a delicious thing. But a little while later, the girl is shocked and wonders how the cook from yesterday's restaurant ended up there. The main character looks at this luxurious table and then turns to Khalid, and the guy only asks if something is wrong, and the young lady wonders why that man looks so much like yesterday's cook, and she is mistaken. However, the Archduke replies that no, and she is right, after which the young lady asks what this means. And the guy replies that she liked his dishes so much that he decided to bring the chef there. The main character is then shocked and thinks, why bring a person who has his own stable business? And he is most likely scared, but since this is the Archduke's palace, let his suffering be worth it. The man turns to the young lady and asks how she is enjoying her breakfast today. The main character then thanks Khalid and says that it is very kind of him. After which the Duke smiles and says that there is no reason and that it is enough for him to see her happy face. The young lady then thinks that this man is the tyrant who never smiled at her, but there is definitely something wrong with her heart. Well then the girl turns around and understands. What she should think about now is her safety, after which she continues her meal. A little while later she is already heading somewhere with the Archduke, and the man turns to Idris, and also asks why they don't practice dancing a little. The young lady then says that the ball is so soon, and he also agrees that it is worth trying. A little while later the young lady is already changing her clothes. Then the Archduke approaches her and asks if she is ready. The young lady then replies that she is. And the guy claims that the first dance will be slow, and they will dance slowly, after which they start dancing, and the young man says that it is excellent and Idris is doing well. When a young lady approaches a guy, she gets a little embarrassed and thinks that she is so close to his chest, but he probably feels uncomfortable, so he needs to move away. After which the young lady wants to do it, but suddenly stumbles and starts to fall. The young lady also thinks that she is about to fall. However, the Duke at that very moment grabs her hand and tells her to be careful. But Idris just accidentally steps on his foot. After that, the young lady apologizes and says, how could it be that she stepped on his foot, and also wonders if the guy is angry. At this time, the young man asks if she feels uncomfortable with him and why she is so worried. And the main character wants to say something, but at that very moment the guy pulls her closer to him, and he claims that he doesn't know what's bothering her, but he will always support her. Idris understands that she is not uncomfortable around him, and now she only claims that it is all from trepidation. The girl realized that she is in love with Khalid, and his kindness also tenderly made her so. The Archduke at this time is only a little embarrassed, after which they hear each other's heartbeat. However, the man then only turns around and suggests stopping there. Idris wonders if it was because she stepped on his foot or because she dances terribly, but she just wanted to be with him longer. At this time, the Duke only runs into his room, after which he hits his head. He is also very embarrassed and understands that if he had gone a little further, he would not have been able to restrain himself. But he was so happy that she accepted his proposal and was as happy as a child. And besides, he didn't notice her mistakes at all and how she stepped on his foot. After all, it seemed that he would burst from the overwhelming emotions due to those clear eyes. They also understand that he simply cannot control himself, and this is dangerous. The main character a little while later sits at the table and thinks that the time has come, and if you think about it, she has not met Khalid since the dance practice. But she made so many mistakes, and that was enough to ruin his mood. So the girl also thinks what will happen if he starts treating her like he did in the past. But then she shakes her head and thinks that this won't work, and she also needs to go and apologize to him. After all, she is sure that the guy will no longer be as terrible as before, and yet he is kind to her. After which the young lady heads towards the door and realizes that she won't dare to just enter his room. At this moment, the Archduke's assistant turns to Her Highness and greets her. He also asks if she will come in because he thinks that His Highness will be glad to see her. The main character then asks if this is true and hesitates a little, and Ethan asks what happened and if she has any problems. He says that he wants to help her, and the girl then claims that he is being honest and tells the whole situation. The young man then just laughs and claims that he doesn't think the gentleman could have been angry that she stepped on his foot. The girl then claims that she didn't hear that many people have been put into eternal sleep. Because of such mistakes, Ethan claims that rumors are often not true. And still his lordship loves the girl, and he also wouldn't be angry about something like that. The main character then asks, a little surprised, if his lordship really loves her, and the guy smiles and claims that it seemed obvious to him, and let the young lady be sure that she deserves his love, after which the young lady realizes that she is hearing such words for the first time in her life. And this is not surprising because the count called her pathetic and also repeated that she should not have been born. So it seems her heart is filled with something, and then the young lady highlights her eyes, and Ethan says that then he will go, after which the young lady thanks him. And he takes hold of the door handle and also says that since Ethan says that Khalid will be happy, then most likely it is so. Then the young lady enters the room, and the Duke claims that he already said that he was busy, and if he had rested he could do something useful. After which he asks why he doesn't answer. However, when he sees the young lady, he is shocked. After which he looks at the girl with tears in his eyes and asks if this is really Idris. The girl then claims that she sees that he has taken A, and also that she did not want to interfere. The young lady realizes that she came in after all trusting Ethan, and Khaled has a lot of work there, so now she apologizes. And the young man says no, and he just finished, so he is not busy at all. But when the guy gets up from the table, he also knocks over a stack of documents, and the main character seeing this says that they did fall, but the young man claims that everything is fine, and later he will pick them up and also asks why the young lady came to him. The girl claims that she just wanted to apologize, after which the young man is a little surprised. And the main character apologizes to him, and the guy claims that he doesn't understand her. The young lady claims that she always made mistakes during the dance, and the Duke then only says that this is what she was talking about. And the young lady doesn't have to worry about that. But the main character asks if he left because she made him angry, and the guy says nothing of the sort, so she shouldn't worry. And also asks if she came only for this, after which the young lady claims that it has long seemed that she is at the wrong time. The girl also picks up the documents from the floor and apologizes, and also claims that she distracted him from work. After which she hands over the documents from the Duke and says that she will go then, and also thanks him for the reception. However, the guy only takes her hand and tells the young lady not to leave. After all, not only is he not busy, but he also doesn't think that she's bothering him, and on the contrary, is very glad that she came to him. So he suggests that she stay there a little longer and have some tea. The young lady then thanks him and states that she will gladly accept his offer. A little while later, the girl is already sitting in front of a cup of tea and wondering if she is really trying tea prepared personally by Khalid. But she felt as if she had found herself at an unscheduled tea party. At this time, the guy only claims that his departure is not because of her in any case, so let the girl not misunderstand. The main character then says that this is good, and the young man claims that he will never get angry with her. A little while later, the ball in honor of Kaltez finally arrived, and one of the maids claims that everything is ready. She also says with a sparkling smile that Madame Redmond's dresses are different from others, and that it is very beautiful. The main character then thanks the maid and says that she did a great job, after which he thinks that if only Khalid were of the same opinion, but he most likely won't notice. Well then, the young lady thinks that one should not expect too much, after all he is a great archduke, and she shouldn't have false expectations, and the girl also thinks, what is she even thinking about? The maid at this time states that the time has come and she wishes the mistress to have a wonderful day today. The main character then says that she definitely leaves the room after that, but there she sees Khalida and he asks if the girl is there. The young lady then thinks if they will go so quickly, and the guy just takes her hand and then they head there, but suddenly they freeze. The main character then wonders what happened, and the Archduke just turns to her, and he says that Idris is beautiful, and she is always beautiful, but today she is even more so. The main character then becomes embarrassed and says that he looks amazing, after which the Duke with a smile on his face thanks her for the compliment. A little while later, they are already entering the hall, and someone announces that His Serene Highness Archduke Khalid and the Archduchess Idris has arrived. The main character thinks that, as expected, she feels their gaze, and there are a lot of people there, and it's scary to stop because of this. But when a girl looks at her husband, she thinks, is he really smiling? But it seems like he's in a good mood. At this time, the aristocrats are whispering among themselves, and one of them asks why the Archduke looks so pleased, and the woman replies that perhaps all this is for Her Highness. The man then claims that he heard that the girl is the daughter of a servant, and has she really become an archduchess? But he is afraid that this will damage the reputation of the Archduke. But the girl tries to match him, judging by his facial expression. The main character understands that she knew that they would whisper about her, and she was glad that she finally got out of the county, but now everything seems to be repeating itself. However, the Archduke then turns menacingly to these people and claims that he did not hear, and why don't they come out and say everything to their faces instead of whispering like rats? The main character is a little surprised after this, and the guy takes a knife from the table and says that it is so strange, and also asks why everyone is silent. And just now, they tried to humiliate Idris with obscene speeches about honor. He also turns to the aristocrat who was whispering and asks if he knows that even such a small knife can easily cause damage. And he dared to insult his wife, so the Archduke asks if he would mind if he cuts off something from him. The main character then puts her hand on her husband's shoulder and says that today is the day of the founding of Kaltes. If red liquid spills on such an auspicious day, it means that many people, including her, will not be able to enjoy the ball. The girl also claims that she is completely fine, so she hopes that he will have fun with her. The Archduke then turns to the young lady, a little surprised, and she thinks that she did the right thing. After which her husband says that it's fine, and if it's her will, then he won't touch them. And while we're at it, he asks the musicians to play something for his wife, and asks if it's possible. The man in charge of the music replies, yes, of course, after which the Archduke says that it is excellent. And he tells them to start playing music because the ball is starting, after which he and his wife knock champagne glasses together. The main character smiles after this, and the Archduke asks if he can consider this look a good sign. The main character then asks what he is talking about, and the guy replies that he is talking about the fact that she likes him so much that she will only dance with him. Makes her happy. The girl is a little surprised after that, and then her heart starts beating faster and louder. The young lady then tries to say something, but at that very moment, someone addresses his lordship. The man then turns to the aristocrat and tells him to leave. The main character then turns to Khalid and suggests that they postpone their conversation. The aristocrats are shocked and wonder if the girl really just addressed the Archduke by name. Idris states that she has a few questions, but he should not neglect his relations with his subjects, so she will go and talk to the others. The Archduke then agrees and heads towards his subjects. Meanwhile, the young lady takes the glass in her hands, and she stands near the wall. She understands that she knows that the guy's attitude towards her looks strange, because politeness and good nature did not suit his image at all, and she wanted to ask him a few questions. And she also wants to know why he continues to excite her heart and ask him about changes in behavior, and also about the words before she plunged into eternal sleep, and about returning to the past. But every time she tries to utter a word, she is overcome with fear. And she is afraid that the guy's kindness towards her will disappear, and that he will simply change. But now that she has realized that she really likes Khalid, she can no longer put off this conversation, and so she will definitely ask today. Well then, someone approaches the young lady and asks if this is the Archduchess. The main character then asks what he needs and understands that he did not bother to greet her, although his status is still lower than hers. The young man then says that it was nothing, and he was just curious, and he also apologizes for being rude. The main character realizes that this is Harold Florent, and this guy is a descendant of the Florents, who are an influential family in Kaltes, and he has always hated her. Harold is a proud son of a respected family, and he just couldn't accept her being a half-breed. At this time, the young man with a smile on his face says that there is nothing special about the young lady, and that it may be because of the inheritance. The main character understands that he is mocking her origins, but if she gets angry at the eldest son of an influential family, then only she will be in trouble, and now the girl squeezes her hand just like at that moment before the wedding. She says that just like her, she doesn't know what makes him so happy, but if the guy came to say meaningless things. However, at that very moment, someone else turns to Mr. Florent. It turns out to be Ethan, and he says that he knew the guy was uneducated, but he never imagined that things were so bad. He also wonders what kind of attitude this is towards her ladyship. However, Harold just gets angry and says how unpleasant it is for him, but he didn't say anything like that. But the knight says that those around him may misunderstand his attitude towards her ladyship. The young man then just sighs and says, well, that's it, after which he turns around and says that it's time for him to go. However, the knight asks if he is going to apologize. Well, the guy claims that it seems he overdid it, and he apologizes to her ladyship. Idris understands that no one has apologized to her in the past, and that is probably enough. However, the knight only claims that this is simply ridiculous and asks if this is all, and he wonders if the Florin's son is indifferent to Kalta's manners, and this is immediately evident from his actions. The herald then asks what the guy just said. However, the Archduke's confidant only comes up to him closely and says that if the guy does not want bad rumors to circulate about him, that's the way to apologize properly because he is the Archduke's only assistant. The young man then bows and asks forgiveness from her ladyship, and also claims that he treated her very disrespectfully because of his short-sightedness and did not want this. Therefore, he asks for forgiveness. The main character claims that she won't hold a grudge against him, so let him join. Idris also understands that it was she who always bowed in front of everyone, and Ethan at this time claims that he cannot believe that she so easily forgave such a rude person. And he says that the girl is very kind, even too kind towards such people. The main character claims that she knew that many nobles did not like her. After which she smiles and still thanks Ethan because she feels much better. Ethan also tells the girl to contact him if she has any problems, because he is always ready to help her. The young lady then says that it warms her heart and thanks him for his concern. When the girl goes out onto the balcony, she realizes that the music has stopped, and it seems that the ball has come to an end. Then she also notices someone coming onto her balcony and turning around, after which she sees that it is the Duke. The guy then approaches the young lady, and he says that he wanted to be with her. He also turns to his little wife and says that he was very interested in what she wanted to ask him, and he couldn't think of anything else except for that. And he asks what her question is. The girl answers that she wanted to know why he treats her like that. And why does he act as if he likes her, or is it just a game that interests her? The girl also claims that he was not like that in the past, and the guy asks what she means by the past. And also, does he really say that he remembers everything? The girl then asks if this means that he knows something, and the young man claims that this cannot be, and also asks up to what point she has memories. The main character then wonders if he really remembers everything, and that's why she asks this question. After which she claims that from the day of their wedding until the very immersion into eternal sleep, the young man then goes into shock, after which he puts his hand on his forehead and swears, also claims that he did not expect such an outcome, and wonders why she did not say so right away. The girl replies that she was not sure whether her return to the past was connected with the snow, or maybe it's just a whim of God, but she is finally convinced that he saved her life. The young man then clenches his fists and turns to Idris and claims that this is not so, because he put her into a crippling sleep. And she knows about it, but the young lady at that very moment embraces the Archduke, and she claims that no, it was the hands of an assassin. At that moment, she was inflicted with a wound that threatened her life, and her soul was barely hanging on in her body, which was on the verge of falling into eternal sleep. The girl also understands that she certainly blamed Khalid for his heartlessness, but not for her falling into eternal sleep. So now the young lady claims that even without him, she would still end up in eternal sleep. However, the guy replies that this is not true and that he took her life and contributed to it. He also claims that he caused her terrible pain, and it was hard for her. However, the main character, he claims that she is really okay. The girl understands that because she went through pain and suffering long before she married him. And now she claims that everything is fine, and the Archduke, with tears in his eyes, claims that he thought so. that she was ignorant and therefore wanted to start all over again so that everything would exist for her. The girl then turns to Khalid and states that she wanted to ask him, "Did he turn back time?" The guy replies that yes, that's right, and the girl asks how that's possible. After all, even the books don't explain it. The young man then sighs and claims that there is no point in hiding it anymore. After all, she is right, and no one would dare to touch the time after which he is interested. Does the girl believe in the existence of the devil? The main character then thinks in shock why he asks such a thing, but the devils destroyed each other because of their unique, warlike nature. The love of battles and red liquid forced them to plunge everyone without exception into eternal sleep, and the survivors returned to the underworld. And they could no longer be found on Earth, so now the girl claims that she thought they have already disappeared from the face of the earth. However, the guy replies that no, and stands in front of her, a creature with red devil liquid, after which the young lady gets scared and asks what he means. And the guy asks if she knows what people call these scarlet eyes, and they claim that this is a devilish symbol. The girl then smiles and claims that it is just superstition. However, the guy claims that it is not for him, and they remind him of his essence. His father got involved with a she-devil, and she ended up leaving him on Earth and returning to the underworld. His father had no plans to raise him and had no choice but to bring him to his estate. So now he asks if the girl knows that the devil's red liquid is imbued with a power that a person cannot possess. The main character then asks in shock if this is the ability with which he turned back time. And the guy replies that yes, and he could only do it once. The young lady then thinks that this can't be, and he is lying. Then she claims that if it's true, then why does she remember everything? The guys claim that she spent every night with him, and apparently his energy affected her, and he had too little strength to dispel it. The guy claims that he has the blood of a human and a devil in him, so he has very limited abilities. He also asks if he hates Idris for saving his life. The girl then understands that she wanted to live. Since the assassin wounded her, the same thing happened when Khalid asked her, does she want it, and has had such a miserable life that she was ready to give up at any moment. But in the end, she desperately clung to it. And this is her life. So now the girl claims that she is not angry with him. She also understands that she has suffered various kinds of humiliation and cannot give up. After which he takes the Archduke by the hand and claims that even if he were a real devil, he would still ask us for help. And she longed to live even with broken bones. So now she claims that Khalid saved her. The guy at this time asks if she doesn't regret marrying a monster, and even if he turned back time to make her happy, he remains only a monster. However, the main character then asks why he turned back time for her, and he despised her, and also did not want to see her. The young man replies that this is not true, and that he did not avoid meeting her, and on the contrary, he loved her very much. The girl then asks in shock what this means, and the guy replies that, of course, he didn't want this marriage, but the only thing he wanted from his past life was Idris. One day, Ethan approached the master and suggested that he take a look at the latest candidate. He also claimed that he had already found a bride, and His Highness had no choice but to agree. The Archduke then said that by her appearance, he wouldn't say that this girl wants to marry him. Ethan said that it couldn't be that, because her family really hopes for this marriage. The Archduke wondered if she was sacrificing herself for the sake of her family. These two had no engagement in the press. And it all happened in the blink of an eye. Khalid was able to see Idris only on the wedding day. The priest then asked if the girl swears eternal love for Khalid Ruin. The main character replied that yes, the Duke only sighed. That same evening when the first wedding night was supposed to be, the girl only shook, and the Archduke thought that he would better return when she fell asleep. And the young lady then turned to his lordship and asked him to wait in case it became known that they had not had their wedding night. Her reputation as an archduchess would be at a very low ebb. The man only sighed and said that it was good, and they will follow the contract. He also noticed a bruise on the young lady's arm and wondered if it was because of him, and perhaps it was painful for her. But in a marriage of convenience, there is no place for feelings. However, over time, the Archduke had to change his mind, and all thanks to Idris. When it was cold, the young lady would bring him a warming stone, and at first her kindness was questioned. One day the girl came to his lordship and brought tea, and also claimed that it was made from tea leaves that grow only in the places where she lived. She also heard that this tea is especially good for relieving retardation, so it might help him. The man then wondered if the young lady was trying to poison him, and that it was very brave of her. But if you think about it, Idris was honest and kind, and always tried to fulfill her marital duties. But for Khalid, accustomed to receiving only hatred and threats from those around him, her favor seemed something unimaginable. The guy then took the tea in his hand and said how nice it was, and he would also drink it with pleasure. The tea was hot enough, but at the same time, very sweet, and there was no poison in it. After this incident, Idris began to occupy his thoughts more and more often, and when he came to his senses, Khalid often caught his gaze on her and unconsciously remembered all her movements and also played them over in his head. One day, the boy noticed a young lady in the hallway and she asked if Elsa was in pain because she didn't look well. The maid then replied that no, she just had a cold. However, the main character asked if she was sure, and she needed to see a doctor, so she suggested going to see him together later. The girl was very different from the Archduke, and a fleeting interest soon turned into deep feelings. Among the people who considered him a monster, Idris was the only one who saw him as a human being, and Khalid fell in love with her. Idris's voice was so sweet, and the boy paid attention to her every move. But despite his deep feelings, Khalid expressed them extremely awkwardly. One day, he learned that the girls liked flowers, and he decorated the whole palace with them. For this reason alone, he cleared the empty courtyard and planted many flowers in it. Idris, who practically owned the garden, only occasionally visited it and thought that it was a pity that it was not all hers. One day, a girl fell tripping over a door threshold, and Khalid immediately got rid of all the thresholds in the palace. However, he did not feel any better, so he visited Idris, who had sprained her ankle, and also asked how her leg was. The girl replied that everything was fine and she had not suffered. The guy then asked if her shoes were comfortable, and the young lady just claimed that all aristocrats wear shoes. The man then just turned around and said, "What kind of nonsense is this? But if she's going to fall like that every time, then she might as well not wear them at all." The young lady then asked for forgiveness and claimed that she did not mean to make him look bad by her fall, and also that she would be careful in the future and that such a thing would not happen again. He also said that the girl should live the way she wanted and that Idris could throw luxurious parties in the palace every day, and also buy a whole cartload of jewelry or a mountain of dresses. Khalid worked hard and had plenty of money. He also wanted Idris to live the way she wanted, but she would only buy what she considered necessary and never spend money on anything unnecessary. The man then screamed that he had said that she could live as she wanted. However, the young lady only became frightened by this and asked if she had done something wrong. The man was a little surprised after this and asked what she was talking about, and the girl answered his lordship, "That's okay." And the guy said that if she misses home, she should just say so because they can go there anytime. However, the girl said that no way, and then she claimed that everything was fine and he didn't have to worry about her. The guy then realized that it seemed that Idris had set boundaries between them, and in the end he began to distance himself from her as she wanted. He used to be busy at work, but sometimes he would still run into her by chance. Well, soon he stopped doing even this and no longer approached her because that was her desire. One day, while looking through Khalid's papers, he felt Idris's energy suddenly and very quickly begin to disappear. After which he started running and realized that this couldn't be happening. Then he saw a young lady with a wound on her stomach. And after those events, he claimed that in the next life he would try to gain her trust. He understood that he could start everything from scratch, so that everything existed only for her. Now the young lady turns to Khalid and claims that he once asked her if she regretted marrying a monster. After which she wonders if he will start avoiding her like in the past if she tells him not to approach her. However, the guy replies that no way and he will do whatever her heart desires. After all, if she wants power, she can use him, and for her sake he is ready to start a war as well as plunge his uncle into a crippled sleep and give her the throne. The girl replies that she does not want this, and the guy asks what she wants then. And the young lady replies that she just wants him to be near her, so she is quite satisfied with him, and she does not feel sorry for the kind monster. After which, she says that Khalid should stay with her, because that is all she wants. That same evening, the girl lies down on the bed and sighs heavily, and also understands that this is not one-sided love but mutual, after which he becomes very embarrassed. The girl cannot believe that her beloved has the same feelings for her, and it is already late at night, but she hopes that he will come. But then the young lady droops a little. The Archduke is in his office at this time and sighs. He also thinks about Idris and remembers the words that she just wants him to be near her, so a kind monster is enough for her. And the girl also asked him to stay with her and also claimed that this is all she wants. Now the man understands that this means that this is not one-sided love and mutual, after which the Duke just bangs his head on the table. A little while later, he already enters Idris's room, but then he sees that she is sleeping. He smiles and approaches the girl and also says how beautiful she is and strokes her hair, but then he clenches his fists and thinks this won't do. The next morning, the young lady wakes up, after which he touches the bed next to him and understands that judging by the fact that it is cold, Khalid did not come there. And just yesterday, he said that he loved her and would do whatever she wanted, but he never visited her chambers. So, the young lady wonders whether he was telling the truth or lying. Well, the girl also thinks that he might be very busy. Then she turns to Elsa and asks if she will help her. The maid agrees and wishes Her Highness a good morning. The girl then understands that she will meet Khalid in the hall, so she needs to hurry. But a little while later, when she comes into the hall, the maid claims that the Archduke announced that he would miss today's breakfast. The main character then asks where he is now, and the maid replies that his lordship was working until recently and went out into the garden for a short while. The main character then realizes that she has the feeling that he is avoiding her, but she desperately wants to see him. That's why now she claims that she will eat a little later, and she wonders why he is avoiding her. After which the girl goes to the garden and is surprised and also understands that Khalid had improved the garden in the past, but this was much later than their wedding. So the young lady thinks, why did he prepare all this so early? But then she thinks that it's nothing, and she will often come there with Elsa. Then the wind blows in the garden, and the young lady closes her eyes a little. But he also sees that the Archduke is there and then turns to him. Khalid then asks if it is Idris, and the girl comes closer to him, and the Archduke claims that in case she wanted to look around there and he was in the way. However, the girl interrupts him and claims that everything is not so and that she also came to him and looked for him. The guy then asks if she was looking for him and if she wants to tell him anything. And the young lady only wonders why he didn't spend the night with her and didn't come to breakfast. After which, she wonders if she's being too straightforward, and the guy just turns around and claims he was busy. The young lady then realizes that he behaved the same way in the past and now says that this is how it is. She also understands that Khalid is the Lord of Kaltes, and in their contractual relationship, it is better to stay away from each other because, as expected, she was mistaken about his feelings. The guy at this time comes a little closer to her and claims that apparently his wife was lonely, after which he asks if she missed him. The girl then gets a little embarrassed and says that she is just, but the guy asks her to stop acting so cute, otherwise he might misunderstand. The young lady then wonders what he is talking about and whether he will misunderstand her. However, the guy only claims that if she continues to behave this way, he will think that she likes him. The main character then grabs his hand and claims that this Duke is not mistaken. Because it's true, Razvertok then grabs the young lady by the shoulders and tells her to repeat her words. And the girl says again that she likes him. The guy is very embarrassed after this, and the young lady claims that since she told him the truth, let him share his. And yesterday he confessed to her, and today he pretended as if nothing had happened, and she was no longer sure of his words. So she asks to be honest with her, the brunette, then turns to Idris, and he says that he loves her more than anything in the world. The main character also gets embarrassed after this, after which they move away from each other a little, and the young lady turns to Khalid, and also asks why he suddenly took up the flower garden. Hey, to be honest, she wondered about this, and in the past she thought that he didn't like flowers. Khalid replies that she is right, and he did not like them very much, after which the young lady asks why. Then, and the guy replies that he created this place for her. The main character then asks if this is true, and he created this just for her without any reason. Khalid wonders why she thinks that it is without reason, since she herself is the most compelling reason. And he also heard from Ethan that the girl adores flowers, and she was sad that there were none in the castle. The main character then remembers how she said that Kaltes is a wonderful place, and it's a pity that flowers don't grow in the palace. The Archduke claims that he is not a fan of flowers, but if a few buds make a young lady happy, he will plant 1,000 for her, after which he hands the rose to the girl and says that because her happiness is his greatest joy, but despite her love for flowers, she almost never came to the garden. Idris replies that she didn't know about that she could come there at will. The Archduke then only smiles and claims that she can walk wherever she wants and that there are no places in this world where she cannot go. The main character then wonders if Khalid was always a man who was capable of such sweet things, but the tyrant became so kind. So now the girl claims that he did say that he planted flowers and created a garden for her. The guy replies that he came there and they're remembering her. Well, the main character then approaches him and claims that since she is in the garden prepared by him for her sake, together with her beloved, she feels very happy. The Archduke is very embarrassed after this, and the young lady thanks him and smiles, after which Khalid hugs her and pulls her closer, and then he kisses her. A little while later, they are already sitting over a cup of tea, and the girl claims that she read in books about hearing a melody or a bell ringing when kissing. The guy then asks if she heard it. However, the girl claims that the frantic beating of the heart was deafening and nothing else. She heard nothing else. The Archduke only smiles after this, and he also claims that, frankly speaking, he too only heard his own heartbeat, and it was so good that he was shaking madly. But the guy still turns to Idris, and he says that he doesn't want to burden her with such a conversation, but he should ask her about it, after which the guy asks if the girl remembers by chance, and suck on which he plunged her into a crippled sleep. The main character then asks what he is talking about, and also remembers how she was wounded in the stomach. And these memories only make the girl feel bad, after which she begins to cough. The Archduke immediately approaches Idris and tells her to calm down because everything is fine, and this will not happen again, so she should not think about it. The guy also claims that he went too far and asks for forgiveness. However, the main character says that no, everything is fine, and she also had enough time to think about the one who plunged her into eternal sleep, however his face was covered. The girl then wonders if the Archduke thinks that it was his enemy. But similar thoughts visited her, but he does not understand why they attacked her in particular, and his enemies have been aiming at him, though unsuccessfully until now. The young lady then realizes that in the present, as in the past, she has no defense and cannot become the Archduke's weakness, so perhaps the aristocrats, they wanted to marry Khalid to another girl by putting her into eternal sleep since they always hated her. Khalid then says that although they could have attacked her precisely because of that, it would be extremely difficult to do something like that to him. The guy also asks what about her homeland and if there are people in mind who wanted her to fall into a crippled sleep. After all, maybe someone from her family did it. The main character then begins to tremble, and the Archduke, noticing this, understands that if you think about it in the past, she never said that she wanted to go home. And perhaps the problem was in the family itself, and it will still be necessary to make inquiries about it. But it is later that Idris is important now. That is why the Archduke now claims that she will forget what was said earlier. And it seems he shouldn't have brought up the subject. The man also claims that he tactlessly reminded her of the difficult times and asks her to forgive him, and also tells the girl to rest today. The main character replies that she will do so, and a little while later she finds herself in her bedroom and remembers the Archduke's words that maybe someone from her family did it. The girl also remembers her family and understands that she cannot say that she did not know about it. And before she plunged into eternal sleep, she thought that her father or brothers might not know about her plunge into eternal sleep. But she still thinks if it is true that they could do this to her, because if it is true, then will she be able to survive this time? The Archduke is in his office at this time looking at papers. He also understands that among the many aristocrats in Kaltz, no one comes to mind with serious intentions of putting Idris into eternal sleep. However, there are also many who are strong enough to do this. The first thing Khalid did when he returned to the past, this started an investigation to find the one who was behind this case. Unfortunately, even after a long investigation, he found nothing. But Idris is clearly afraid of his family, and the man thinks that perhaps he was focusing on the wrong thing from the very beginning. But since it was Idris who was immersed in eternal sleep, he had to focus on her and not on himself. The Archduke also wonders if it was her family that was behind all this, A little while later, the main character is already sitting with the maid, and she cries out, "Did the Archduke really build this huge garden just for Her Highness?" Idris replies that at least that's what he said, and she was also surprised when she heard it. The maid then says with a sparkling smile that it is very romantic, and the main character says that if they have time, she suggests going there together. Well, the girl also understands that she was terribly depressed when Khalid asked her questions, but feels much calmer after talking to Elsa. That same evening, the maid approaches the mistress and claims that Lily confessed her feelings to Hohen. But at that very moment, someone knocks on the door of the room and the main character tells that person to come in, after which another maid comes into the room and claims that the Archduke is waiting for Her Highness in the dining room. The main character then realizes that it is just about time and tells the maid to tell him that she will be there soon. Idris also thinks if he finished early today and then goes into the room for dinner, and she sees the Archduke sitting there. She also asks why he put off work about the guy claims that he hurried to see her. The main character is only embarrassed after this, and the Archduke smiles and offers to eat before it gets cold. A short time later, he turns to Idris and asks what time she plans to go to bed today. The girl replies that she thought she would sleep a little after dinner and asks why he is asking. The guy replies that he just wanted to know when he should go to their room, and the young lady is a little embarrassed and also asks if he really means that they will sleep together tonight. Khalid replies that yes, and the girl wonders if it is because of what she said earlier. But she did say that he didn't sleep in their bedroom and didn't come to breakfast. But now, the young lady claims that everything is fine, and that means she will wait for him in their room after dinner. Well, then the young lady looks at the maids and thinks, how could she say such a thing in front of so many people? The Archduke at this time rises from his seat and insists that he must hurry so as not to keep her waiting. And the main character wonders if he really means that and if she is overreacting. But then the girl sighs and thinks that it is too late because she is sure that she will find out soon, even though they have already slept together before. A little while later, the young lady is already sitting in the bath and thinking that as soon as she takes it, she will see Khalid. Well, then the young lady wonders why she is so nervous. The maid at this time turns to Her Highness and asks if she said anything. And the main character replies that she doesn't understand anything, that she can't talk about it with Elsa. The maid at this time claims that she almost forgot, and she heard that His Highness was going to sleep in the newlyweds' bedroom today. The main character says that the girl heard, and the news spreads faster than she thought. The young lady also understands that Elsa already knows everything, and the maid at this time turns to Her Highness and claims that she can imagine how nervous the lady is. Well, let her not worry about it because she will give her a massage. The main character then says that she is so worried and feels more fear than anticipation, after which she wonders if something is wrong with her. And the maid replies that everything is clear and the mistress is still young, and also it is normal to be excited because of unpredictable things, or maybe it is because she is still thinking about their wedding night. After all, it was their first time, and she could feel awkward and also worried. The main character replies that she actually liked it, and the maid asks what this lady is talking about, after which she shyly replies that nothing. The girl realizes that they have slept together many times in the past, but she has never felt like this before. The maid at this time turns to the mistress and claims that the other workers are already working hard after such news. The main character asks in shock what she is talking about and how the words could fly so fast. After all, she only found out recently. Elsa replies that she is slightly worried about her relationship with His Highness. After which the maid ties a bow on the mistress's robe and says the word. The main character then asks who chose this outfit, and Elsa replies that it was chosen by the wardrobe maids especially for this occasion, and they sewed it with their own hands. The main character then realizes that it seems like they are all more worried than her, and Elsa asks if the lady doesn't like the outfit because she can offer another one, after which the main character replies that no, and everything is fine. And she will also just put it on because there is no time to change, and moreover, she needs to quickly get to the newlyweds' bedroom. Then the maid screams that His Highness is probably already waiting. A little while later, the main character enters the room and sees the Archduke there. The girl then comes a little closer to him and the guy says that here she is, and also let the young lady go to bed. He also asks where she got this outfit from, but it's quite short. And the guy asks if he is comfortable to which the girl replies that it was not she who chose him. The Archduke then sighs and claims that he thought so. He then covers the young lady who thanks him. And the brunette says that if she didn't like it, then she shouldn't have worn it, and he asks if the girl wants the maid to bring her something else. Idris replies that it's already quite late, and next time she'll ask them to give her something more comfortable. After which the young lady covers herself with a blanket and realizes that she cannot look this guy in the face because she is too embarrassed. At this time, the Archduke asks if Idris is hot because her cheeks are red, and the girl is a little surprised, after which she jumps up and screams that she is fine. The Archduke then claims that every time they are alone she looks incredible. And this is about their first wedding night after all, while today her actions were unpredictable. The girl then remembers how she rushed down the corridor and asks if he is talking about that night. The guy then claims that he thinks she was just feeling really uncomfortable, but says that the girl shouldn't be so flustered. After all, even if they are husband and wife, this does not mean that they have to do something every time they are in bed. And he just wanted to fall asleep next to her, after which he asks if the girl is nervous. He also states that he won't pressure her so she can relax, but he would like to talk to her before bed and also wonders what she thinks about it. Or the young lady wants to do something more interesting. The main character then goes back to bed, and she answers that no, and she also thinks that it would be good to talk and thinks what the topic of conversation might be, but then she turns to the Archduke and asks what he wants to talk about. The man asks her to tell him about herself, to which the young lady is a little surprised, and the guy just repeats that he wants to know about her, and it could be anything, because he just wants to listen. Idris realizes that this is the first time in her life that someone has asked her to talk about herself, and no one was interested in her before. The guy at this time claims that he wants to know what she likes and what she doesn't like and her hobbies and interests. And what is she thinking about, because he wants to know everything, after which he says that Idris should tell him everything. The girl is then silent for a while and a little while later begins her story, and also claims that she likes flowers, and her favorite ones are black roses, because the first ones are the first flowers he gave her. The guy then claims that he wants to clarify that all the flowers in the palace garden were for her. And the young lady claims that she only found out about this today, and besides, it is much nicer when flowers are given in person, because that way you feel something intimate. The Archduke then claims that if she enjoys receiving flowers from him so much, he will decorate her room with flowers all year round. The young lady then asks, "What about winter?" And the man claims that he will find her exotic flowers that will not fade even in winter. The young lady then says that if he does that, people will throw mud at him for being too extravagant. However, the guy tells her not to worry about others, and just thought about him. The main character realizes that Khalid was not there, and she wonders if he really missed her after he returned to the past. And yet he says such embarrassing things now, but nevertheless she claims that returning to what she was talking about, what she loves most in the world, is him, after which the Archduke is a little surprised and asks if she said that she loves him most, and also wonders if Idris is trying to seduce him. Idris then asks in shock what he is talking about and claims that she was simply telling him the pure truth. However, what she doesn't like is the way her family treated her, and all those humiliating words, and also arrogance and looks full of contempt. The girl claims that they treated her as if she was nobody, and she knew perfectly well what they thought of her, but there were times when she wanted them to accept her, and times when she wanted love. But in the end, they were her family, and how stupid it was of her to want love from her father and brothers. These people did not accept her as a person, and she was just a thing that they would one day use for profit. The Archduke then asks if the bruise on her arm on their wedding night was because of them. The girl replies that yes, and it was Keith, who is her second older brother. The Archduke then turns to the young lady and claims that they are nobodies, and also that the girl has been through a lot, living among these terrible people. So he swears that they will pay for everything, and is sure that it was painful to relive those terrible memories. So now he thanks Idris for telling him about it. The main character also thanks Khalid, and the guy then asks if he can ask her one question, to which the young lady agrees. The Archduke asks why they hate her so much. The main character is a little surprised after that, and the guy claims that in the end she is the lady of the Beatrice family, and he cannot understand why her family calls her like that. Idris wonders if Khalid doesn't know that she is only half an aristocrat and that she is the daughter of a servant. The girl also thinks that although in the past they rarely spent time together in this life, they have been living hand in hand for more than a year, and she thought that he already knew about her origin, but it seems that he married her without knowing the whole truth. So the young lady wonders how this is possible, and does Khalid really not know who she is and what others think of her? After which she remembers her words and understands that if he knew her mother, he would never have asked her about this. Now she understands that she cannot breathe, and if Khalid finds out the truth, he will understand that he has wasted his only chance to change time on the pitiful daughter of a servant, and he will hate her for deceiving him to use his power. The Archduke at this time turns to Idris with concern and sees that she is shaking all over, after which he asks if the girl is feeling unwell and also wonders why her behavior has changed so abruptly. After all, he only asked about her family, and he is sure that this question hurt her feelings, after which the young man apologizes and claims that he did not want to upset her with such a tactless question, and also that he should not have asked such a thing and was wrong. The main character then clenches her hands and realizes that this is wrong, and she also has to tell Khalid the truth before it is too late. Then the young lady turns to Khalid, but wonders where she will go if she is thrown out into the street and whether she should give up her identity. The Archduke tells the girl not to worry because she doesn't need to tell him about it, and he doesn't want to hurt her by making her remember what she wanted to forget. Well, the young lady then states that she must tell him about it. She then addresses him as His Highness and states that there is something he must know. After all, she was not raised as a lady in Beatrice's family, and she is not a purebred aristocrat. Khalid asks what she is talking about, and the young lady claims that, as she said, her mother was a servant who had a short-term relationship with the Count, and she is the illegitimate child of the Count. The young lady realizes that tears are blurring her vision, and she cannot see the face of the Archduke. However, she still thinks that it is even better this way because he will probably get angry and accuse her of lying and maybe even hit her. Well, she loves Khalid so much, and the worst thing for her would be him looking at his hatred in his eyes. At this time, the guy is only interested in why she addressed him as His Highness, and the girl replies that it is because compared to His Highness, she is an illegitimate aristocrat, and how can someone who is not her call the Archduke by his name? The girl also understands that if he orders her to leave, then she should at least be grateful that she will live. However, the brunette then hugs the young lady and says that he loves her, and he also doesn't care what family she belongs to, or what her pedigree is, and he also doesn't care if she's a commoner or not. After all, he doesn't care about his relationship with her family because he loves her for who she is. And Idris is all he needs, so he asks the girl to call him by his name. The young lady then addresses him like this, and after that, the brunette tells her to do it again, and the young lady does so, after which the guy says that it is good and pulls the girl a little closer to you. He kisses her and also once again affirms that he loves her. A little while later, Khalid asks her if she is feeling better because she cried an ocean. The girl replies that she didn't cry that hard, but the man claims that she is a liar. Then he asks how she could think about it, since he will never hate her. Just because others didn't like her, the girl then claims that she was sure he would be angry because she deceived him. However, the guy replies that she didn't hide it from him on purpose and thought that he already knew everything. So the young man wants her to know that his feelings for her will never change, so he hopes that the young lady trusts him, and also asks her to say that it is so. The main character then says with a smile on her face that of course it is so. The next day, the Archduke turns to Ethan and asks if he brought him information about Beatrice's family. The confidant then places a stack of papers on the table and answers that yes. Barnett then looks at him a little surprised. And Ethan asks what's wrong, after which the man asks if Ethan knew the story of Idris's origin. The guy replies that of course, and he wonders if there is an aristocrat who visits this palace and doesn't know about it. The brunette then squeezes the paper and swears, and also understands that it means even his assistant knew, and it seems he was the only one who was not in the know. At this time, the blonde asks why His Highness suddenly asked, however he replies that it is none of his business. After which the confidant says that it is not important, and the first few pages contain general information about the Count's family, and the data on the following pages is a little about more personal matters. The man then asks what kind of personal questions these are, and his close associates answer that these are things like family relationships and related rumors. The Archduke then begins to read all this and thinks how cleverly the Count acted, but he evaded the property tax. He also sees that it means they are buying up large quantities of weapons and gathering their own personal army. And this is definitely treason. so he understands why Idris made such a demand in her past life. Then the Archduke sees something else and asks what it is, because life there is like imprisonment. An insider claims that it appears Her Highness was not allowed to dine in the family dining room, and she was given the same food as the servants. It is evident that she even suffered from malnutrition several times. The Archduke then recalls how the young lady said that it all looked so delicious. That's why now he's banging his fist on the table and screaming that she was treated even worse than the servants. He also understands that she never had power, respect, or reputation, so he will do everything possible to make sure that Idris has what she wants. And they will also do everything they can to ensure that she gets everything that this world has to offer. A little while later, someone approaches His Highness and hands him an envelope. And he claims that it was a great honor for him to meet His Highness, and also that a letter had arrived for the Archduchess, so he tried to deliver it. Khed claims that Her Highness is sleeping and he will hand it over personally, to which the guy agrees, after which he sees that this is a letter from Beatrice's family. A little while later, he enters the young lady's room and asks if she woke up. The girl answers that she did and asks if he brought her anything, and the guy holding a letter in his hands answers that nothing. He also says that the young lady's eyes are swollen. The protagonist then asks, "Is he serious, and is it really that bad?" The Archduke replies that he will have the servants bring him some ice. The girl then replies that it is not worth it because she will just ask Elsa to help her later and wonders if her eyes really look that awful. Khed replies that it is not at all, even with swollen eyes, she is beautiful as always. The main character becomes a little embarrassed after this and says that she will go take a bath first. Khed then turns to her and asks if he can help her with this, after which he even comes up and hugs the young lady, and the main character just tells him to stop teasing her, and the screwdriver insists that he is not joking. He also asks if they should take a bath together, to which the young lady is a little surprised. And then he even imagines this and also gets very embarrassed and thinks that she must have gone crazy, because what is she thinking about? The guy asks her what she thought about the young lady. She answers that nothing, and the young man then says that her face is so red, after which the girl screams that she needs to wash and asks him to leave. Then she leaves the Duke alone, and he turns around and says, "Okay," and then they will see each other later. The main character, while in the bath, realizes that Khed was holding a letter at the time, and she wonders who it was from. Well, the young lady also thinks, what is the point of being interested, because maybe it doesn't relate to her at all, and maybe it's some kind of secret document about Kaltez or something else. Elsa comes into the room a little while later and claims that she was surprised when the lady suddenly asked to bring her ice, but now she sees that her eyes are slightly... The main character then interrupts the maid and asks if everything is really that bad, and she replies that yes, and she thinks the lady should keep the ice up for at least 30 minutes. A little while later, the young lady is already lying down, and the maid helps her introduce the ice. Then the young lady turns to Elsa and asks if she is even a little bit concerned about why her eyes are swollen. However, the maid only smiles, and the young lady wonders why she is laughing. Elsa claims that she is so happy, and it seems that she spent a good night with the Archduke, but she was so beautiful that the lady's eyes were so swollen. The main character then thinks how she can explain the swelling like that, after which she wonders what the maid imagined there. And the girl replies that not only the lady's eyes are swollen, but her lips too, and only one thing could have led to this. The main character then asks, a little surprised, if her lips are also swollen, and the maid asks if she didn't know, but it's very noticeable. The young lady then freezes in place and then states that the train is in her room today, so let the maid take the breakfast there. She also understands that it is very dangerous to leave this room. A little while later, the girl is already looking in the mirror and realizes that the swelling has finally gone down a little. But then someone knocks on the door of the room, and the young lady tells that person to come in. However, when someone sees this, he is a little surprised and also asks if this is really Khed. The guy at this time goes to her bed with food, and the young lady claims that she asked Elsa to bring breakfast, and she wonders why he brought it. However, Khed only tells her to sit down and also claims that he was worried. When I heard that she would be eating there, I thought that the young lady was sick, but the girl replied that no, and everything was fine. And she also just didn't want to go to the dining room today. Khed replies that he is glad she is okay, and then let the young lady help herself. The main character sees all this luxurious food, after which she takes a fork and knife and begins to eat. The Archduke watches this, and then says that it is wonderful that she likes the food. He also claims that this wine was made from rare grape varieties that grew in Khed, and the grapes are known for their juiciness and cloyingly sweet taste. And he wanted the young lady to try it, after which the guy hands her the glass, and the main character tries this wine and with a smile on her face claims that it leaves a very pleasant sweetness in her mouth. Khalid claims that he will serve it to her more often. A little while later, they are already outside, and the Duke father turns to his wife. Well then, he thinks whether he should talk about it, and the young lady says that if it's about her family, it's not a big deal, and he can talk because she has him, so everything is fine. And the man then asks if she ever assumed that her immersion into eternal sleep happened because he did not give in to the demands of her family. The girl then asks if he is talking about demands and claims that this means the letter she saw was from her family. The Archduke replies that everything is so, and they demanded the rights to the mines in Khed, and they wanted the same thing in the past. The main character then looks at the Archduke with a little surprise, and he claims that it is from her father. The main character then says that the guy didn't give his father what he wanted, and asks if he wants to say that her father put her into eternal sleep because she became useless to him. Khalid then sighs and claims that he thinks it's okay to say that since before their wedding, he fulfilled one of his political demands as a favor for the marriage proposal, but after the wedding his demands became more and more excessive, so he simply began to ignore him. And probably the young lady's father realized that the girl could not influence him, so perhaps he decided that he doesn't need her anymore. The main character then asks in shock if that's really the case, and also understands that objectively speaking, Khalid's theory makes sense. And as far as she remembers, her father was always only concerned about how useful she could be to him. He despised and hated her from the very beginning, and the young lady is sure that he would have preferred to get rid of her. Now the girl claims that her father hated her all her life. There were also many instances where he was ridiculed by other aristocrats because of her existence. And besides, he was a very calculating person, as well as stingy with praise and harsh in punishments. Her stepbrothers also hated her, so the girl thinks that they would have agreed if her father had offered to put her into eternal sleep, and her family could really do that because she was an obstacle that needed to be removed, and they definitely despised her, and the girl was sure that they would benefit from her immersion in eternal sleep. The Archduke then says that, of course, besides her family, there were other families of aristocrats in Khed, but since they rarely saw her in the past, he cannot imagine that any of them truly hated her, and the other aristocrats would not have received any benefit from her immersion in the involved sleep, and even on the contrary, would have lost a lot because the aristocrats who had tried to finish him off only once so far, so he was not very worried about her safety. And also, I never could have thought that someone would try to put her into eternal sleep. But it is still hard to believe that they suddenly changed their tactics, and without a wife he would still not have an heir, because of which Khed could become unstable and weak. The main character then claims that she thought the same thing, and that means that besides these aristocrats there is someone else who hates him. The guy then replies that there are indeed some, and the young lady asks who it is, and the Archduke states that they call themselves Erebos, and that this is a group that destroys demons, and they also believe that he is a demon that needs to be destroyed. After which the man said that, okay, and he is a demon after all, so he can't blame them. The main character wonders if they shouldn't worry about them, and the guy replies that the worst thing this group did was spread gossip and rumors about him, and besides you need permission from the authorities to enter the palace. And in Erebos there are only commoners, and it is unlikely that any of them could defeat the palace knights, and in any case entry into the palace is forbidden to commoners. The main character then wonders if this means that the Duke really could have been an assassin. And she thinks that this confirms that her father saw her only as a benefit, and that she was just a thing that could be thrown away. As soon as she becomes useless, the girl realizes that she is falling into darkness. And she knew that this was quite possible, but it turns out that it really was true, and she existed only for the sake of bringing him benefit. At this time, the Archduke takes the young lady by the hand and tells her not to be upset because he will protect her at the cost of his own life. And in this world, she is everything to him The main character then smiles and replies that yes, she won't plunge herself into eternal sleep this time either. But a little while later, the girl opens the letter and claims that she is still wondering why the Duke is asking for something so valuable. She also realizes that her father probably thought that she could convince him, and the man asks why. And the young lady replies that it is because he knows her weakness, and the Archduke asks what it is. After which the girl claims that her mother is with him, and she already knew then that her father's demands were absurd, but as long as he had her mother, she had no choice but to beg him to give him what he wanted. The girl also claims that in that house, no one accepted her as a member of the family. Her mother was the only one who cared about her, and the sweet tea she made for her. And also the songs that they sang together at night were the only thing that allowed her to survive in that house. The girl also claims that she will never stop loving her mother, so she did whatever it took to keep her safe. The Archduke then says that it is clear, and now it is clear to him why she asked him for such strange things, and it was not like her. The man also wonders what he should do because he knows that the young lady's mother is in the hands of the Duke. He cannot continue to refuse his demands. Idris replies that he should not comply with his demands, and every time he refused him, her father would get angry and threaten to put her mother into a crippled sleep. The girl also claims that he still knows that as soon as he raises his hand against her, he will lose her as a useful pawn that he placed in the palace. But then the main character is shocked and thinks about what happened to her mother after she fell into a crippled sleep. But it's obvious, and probably he did the same to her. That's why now the girl claims that after all this is only the first letter that he sent, so it doesn't matter so much if he refuses him now. The young lady then turns to Khalid, and the guys apologize and claim that he was just thinking, and of course her mother's safety is a priority, but he cannot forget that he is a representative of Kaltez. The man also turns to his wife and asks what is going on with this, and also states that he will tell the Duke that he agrees to use his demands and also invite him to come there. The young lady then asks if he really wants to invite her father to Kaltes, and the man replies that yes, and they are setting a trap for him. The main character then asks what he is talking about, and the Archduke affirms. What he will say is that he agrees with his demand for a leg. He will need to come there to discuss the details, and he will also ask him to bring the young lady's mother as she misses her. The main character then replies that she understood, and this plan is to save her mother from the clutches of the Duke, to which the man replies that this is true, and besides, he is going to punish the Duke and his sons. The young lady then asks if this is possible, and the brunette replies that since he is the Duke of the Empire, it will not be so easy to do this, and also there is no evidence that it was her father who hired the mercenary. The girl replies that she knows how powerful Khalid is, but Beatrice's family is also influential in the Empire. The man then claims that once they arrive in Kaltes, she can be sure that he will handle it and destroy them. The Archduke also claims that he will make them regret that they were going to torture Idris Beatrice. The young lady understands that she is not going to oppose this decision against the Duke or the rest of the family, even if she feels uneasy. And the man claims that it doesn't matter how strong they are in the Empire, because as soon as these people set foot on his lands, then they won't be able to escape from there so easily, and he won't let them do it. The main character then understands that he can do whatever he wants in Kaltes, but if he punishes her half-brother's father, then will the Emperor stand aside? Khalid claims that if what he suspects turns out to be true, the Emperor will agree with his decision. And the young lady then asks if he will understand, even if Khalid punishes one of the high-ranking imperial aristocrats. The guy then turns to Idris and asks her why she thinks the Duke wants to get the rights to the Kaltes magic stone mines. The girl replies that this is probably because these stones can be sold at a high price and believes that this is for financial gain, and the man then says that there is another option. The magic stone can absorb magic, and anyone who owns it can gain it themselves. The girl then says that of course, and possessing a magic stone is the same as having the power yourself. And she also heard that even knights are eager to get them because weapons become stronger when combined with a magic stone. The Archduke then replies that this is true, and weapons that have been improved in this way are considered the best and are known as enchanted balls, after which he asks if the girl really thinks that the Duke wants to sell these stones to others. The young lady then wonders if this means her father is going to take possession of the magical stones and not just sell them. Khalid says she has hit the nail on the head, but the girl claims that this is impossible because her father has already met enough to hire powerful magicians, and there is no point in you obtaining rights to the stones. But the man is interested. What if the Duke wants even more power, and based on his information he recently purchased a large amount of weapons. Immediately after that he sent her a letter saying that he wants the rights to the cultist mines, and he asks what the young lady thinks and what it means. The girl then asks if he really means that her father is going to combine this weapon with energy stones, and the screwdriver replies that this is just an assumption. However, the young lady claims that even her father will be executed by the emperor if he tries to create enchanted swords, and Khalid then asks, what if the Duke is going to rebel against the emperor? After all, he did not pay taxes on property, and the accumulation of a huge amount of money, as well as the subsequent purchase of private soldiers and weapons, can only mean one thing. And this is what the Duke is planning: a rebellion. The main character is then a little surprised and claims that if it is true, then she will become the daughter of a traitor and will not be able to avoid execution. However, the guy tells Idris not to worry because he has a plan, and let the young lady just trust him. The next day the guy sent 2 letters, and one of them was addressed to the Duke. As he told Idris in it, the Khalid wrote that he was interested in discussing the terms of the rights to the mines, so the Duke would have to visit Kaltes in person to discuss the details. And because Idris missed her mother very much, he asked the Count to bring her with him. And another letter was sent to Khalid's uncle, who is the emperor, and now the man is reading it. There the Archduke wished His Majesty a good day, and also claimed that he had been so busy with governing that he had forgotten his duties as his nephew. The emperor then claimed that finally his nephew was in action, after which he also read that he had noticed Duke Beatrice conducting suspicious activities. However, the emperor then thought about what to do, because one hasty action, and the aristocrats from the opposition would immediately rebel. He also realized that it looked like Khalid and Duke Beatrice would meet in a few days, after which he claimed that it was wonderful, and the house would be left without an owner, so he was obliged to look there. A little while later, someone approaches Khalid and claims that a reply has come from His Highness, and it says that an imperial representative would be sent to look into the situation, and she thought that the evidence they sent to the emperor worked. The girl also says that now all that remains to be done is to wait for her father's response to the invitation, and the Archduke replies that yes, everything is going according to their plan. The guy then takes the young lady by the hand, but says that it looks like she is still nervous. The girl replies that yes, and perhaps she has no attachment to them, but still it concerns her family, and she has mixed feelings about it. The young lady also says that her father is a very influential man, and she has never seen him lose, and that is probably why she cannot imagine that this plan will be carried out and he will be punished. But then the young lady apologizes and claims that she shouldn't have said anything just to avoid jinxing it. However, the Archduke then turns to his wife and says that everything will be fine, and that she said that she would trust him, so he asks Idris to trust him. The girl then agrees and asks to protect her and her mother. The Archduke then takes her hand in his, and he says that it is an honor for him. The girl then understands that they have already received a response from the emperor, and that means her father and half-brothers must have read Khalid's letter. The man reads it at this time and then smirks, and his son asks what it says. The Duke then claims that it sounds as if the girl was able to persuade the Archduke, and exactly as he expected, since he has her mother. The man's other son asks if this means the Archduke has agreed to give him the rights to the magic stone mines in Kaltis. The Duke replies that yes, and he wants to meet in person to discuss the details, and his only condition is that he bring Idris's mother with him, especially since it looks like the girl misses her. The man's eldest son then asks if he is talking about that maid, and it is not difficult to do so. Let his father just take her with him on the trip, and then bring her back. The man then says that of course there is no problem in taking the maid with him, and that is the only thing that worries him. This is that they can plan for something unexpected. The young lady's brother only smiles at this time, and he says that his father is worrying too much, and also asks if he really thinks that Idris will take the maid, but the Archduke would never have allowed her to do this. And firstly, his pride will not allow him to live with his mother-in-law, who was a servant. It was then that he said that his brother should watch his language in front of his father. And he also claims that despite how Kate put it, he is right, because the Archduke may be unhappy that his wife is of such low pedigree, and there are rumors that if the Archduke doesn't finish eating, he will immediately behead the man on the spot, so he wonders if his father seriously thinks that such an arrogant and proud man would accept a servant. The man then says that it is fine, and then he will set a date and also go to the Celts to discuss matters with the Archduke. He also says that Ken, as the eldest, will stay there and look after the house. The boy then agrees. And the father says that Kate will go with him to Caltes and his duty will be to watch the maid. The young man then asks if the father is talking about him after, which he says okay, and he thinks he can... And the man then just laughs and claims that he can't believe that the rights to the mines with the magic stones of Caltes are his. One of the sons then congratulates his father and claims that he deserves it and that fate is on their side. And also soon Beatrice's family will become the new ruling family. The Archduke at this time reads the answer to the letter and smirks. A little while later, the main character also reads this letter, and it says that her father would like to thank the Archduke for accepting his request, and after he has resolved some household matters, he will immediately head to Caltes. And by the way, he asks how his daughter is doing, because he is sure that everything is fine with her, since His Highness is nearby, but he is still worried whether she was able to get used to the new place. And as soon as he heard that Idris was missing her mother, his heart ached because he was her father. And he asked to tell Idris that there was no need to worry because she would soon meet her mother. The main character is now thinking what a bastard he is because this man treated her like a nobody. And how dare he pretend to be a loving father? The Archduke at this time asks if the young lady is okay, and she just squeezes the sheet and claims that everything is going as Khalid said. The guy then asks the young lady not to think about her father's words. And what's important is that she will soon meet her mother, after which Khalid apologizes, and he says that she shouldn't have read it and she shouldn't have shown it to her. The girl then replies that no, and it was she who asked him to read this sheet, and besides now she knows for sure that her father, or better yet Duke Beatrice, never loved her. The girl also understands that Khalid could simply stick to his plan, keeping her in the dark, and he didn't have to tell her about it. But now the young lady clenches her fists and thinks that he could have taken revenge on his own. And also, this is Khalid's way of paying for her immersion into eternal sleep, but all this from the very beginning is her revenge. And one day they wiped her off the face of the earth, so she will do the same to them. After which the young lady turns to her husband and understands that in the future she must destroy him in the best possible way so that she will not have any regrets. And now she asks her husband to make sure that he completely erases Count Beatrice from the face of this world. The Archduke then only smiles and agrees, and also says that the girl can count on this. The man understands that he could have dealt with this situation without Idris's consent, but if he had done so, he would have been no better than the Count who always controlled her against her will. The man also remembers her facial expression and realizes that the young lady looked confident, and it means that she made her choice, and even if it will be painful, it will help her heal from the scars of the past. At this time, the girl enters her husband's office and states that she thought it would be nice to have some tea together. Khalid is thinking at this time that if he dragged her into all this and now claims that it sounds great, the main character then says that he looks puzzled and wonders if something is wrong, and the guy replies that no, and that's it. He feels like he is forcing her to do this. Idris then places his hand on Khalid's hand. He then claims that he told her to trust him, because he will be on her side and it would be a lie to say that everything is okay, but it is not his fault, and she feels this way only because she is too soft. Khalid claims that a good heart means that she is human, and there is nothing strange about it. The main character then thanks the guy for his words and says that this is why she believes him, after which they look at each other and already begin to approach, but when their lips almost touch, then Ethan bursts into the room and addresses His Highness. He claims that it is necessary to check the financial plan for the visit of Duke Beatrice. Well, then the main character gets a little scared and then screams that she needs to go because she promised Elsa that they would take a walk in the garden. The Archduke then turns to the guy and asks if he really broke in there for some financial plan. However, his confidant replies that he is not the only one who has come to tell him that the Duke left his estate this morning, and he thinks that the journey to Khed will take about 4 days. The Archduke then says that it is time to start cleaning up the estate, and his entourage asks whether the gentleman has in mind the Archduchess for his mother, and they have already started doing this. And also, if there are no more questions, he will order the butler to conduct a final check of the premises. And after everything was settled, he was thinking about a little excursion, and this Duke asks why. And the guy replies that they got a message that Erebos is up to something and they definitely need to keep an eye on this group. Khed replies that he doesn't think they're going to do anything serious, but okay. A little while later, the main character turns to Ethan, and the guy says that probably Her Highness feels uncomfortable because of all this. The girl then says that it was like that before, but after His Highness calmed her down, she feels much better. The man then says that this means the young lady is a very strong person, and the main character asks if he says that she is strong. Ethan then claims that yes, there are people in this world who cannot be consoled at all. And what's more, some find words of comfort useless, and they think that an attempt to calm down is a mockery of them. And they also do not believe that these outwardly happy people can be sincere and caring. The young man then turns around and, with a smile on his face, states that he simply wanted to say that all people are different, and wonders if the young lady can believe that people behave hostilely towards those who try to comfort them. The main character then hesitates a little, after which she smiles and affirms that it's not quite true. Ethan then asks what she's talking about, and the girl confirms it. That some people may feel that way because they are in a terrible situation. Perhaps they are in a place where words of comfort cannot reach them, and when someone is in such a sad situation, she sees how they can envy those who look happy, but that doesn't mean that these people are to blame and that their environment shapes their behavior. When someone cannot accept the beliefs of others, it means that something in that person's environment made him think that way. Ethan is then silent for a while, and the young lady asks what is going on, after which the young man only smiles. And he says that Her Highness is indeed a very kind person, after which he bows and thanks her for talking to him, and also claims that he needs to go, and the young lady says that it's okay, and she's sure that he's very busy and that's why he can go. The main character understands that Ethan was probably also ahead of hard times, but he seems to be feeling better, so she is happy. The young man at this time looks at the young lady and thinks a little. At this time, the young lady's brother is riding in the carriage and asks why the hell he can't go out with his father, and also shouldn't he at least be in front. Someone else turns to the guy and says that there is nothing to be done since the Duke asked him to keep an eye on this woman. Kate then says that's exactly it, and he can't believe that he has to suffer because of some servant. The young lady's mother at this time turns to the young gentleman and says that the Duke does not trust him, and it is surprising that he is the one watching her. After all, she doesn't like this situation much more than he does. The woman also claims that the assignment is so important. It must be given to the heir who is the first son. The woman also asks if he agrees with this as the second son. However, the young man only screams at her to shut her mouth and asks if the woman thinks she can get away with it since his father was polite to her. But he has no doubt that she feels confident only because her daughter married the Archduke Devil. He also says that the mother-in-law and the Devil's nickname, which is just right to suggest to her. The woman then looks at the guy a little coldly and remains silent. Meanwhile, the main character is walking around the garden with the maid. Elsa says that this garden is very beautiful, and the main character apologizes for not bringing her there earlier, and she was very busy. The maid then says that this is nonsense, and the most important thing is that they are there now. And also to be there in such a beautiful place. The main character then turns to Elsa and asks what happened. The girl answers that, frankly speaking, she heard that the Duke would soon arrive at the palace, and she wondered whether the lady should meet with the Duke. She also understands that it was his lordship who made Her Highness's life so miserable. The main character then realizes that she knows what Elsa is thinking and would like to tell her the truth about their plan. But now she only claims that the Duke is coming for political negotiations with His Highness, so she will not see him. The maid then says okay, but she still doesn't like this situation, and she wonders why he had to go all the way to Khed. The main character says that on the other hand, the Duke will also bring her mother, and this is a chance to check with her, after which Elsa asks if this is true, and also says that it would be great if she stayed there, to which the young lady says that it definitely is. And he also wonders if the maid suspects something, or if it was just an accident that hit the mark. Elsa then states that in any case she is glad to hear that Miss Honey is coming to them, and the main character says that she is too. A little while later, the girl is already lying on the bed, but then she hears the door to the room opening, and he also understands that it is Khalid, after which he asks what brought him there. But the guy is just wondering if it is really so strange that he came to their marital bedroom to see her. The girl replies that she didn't mean it that way and that he had simply been so busy the last few days that they had even slept in different bedrooms because of it. The guy then sits down on the bed and turns to Idris, after which he approaches her and kisses. After that, the young lady asks Khalid if anything happened, and the guy thinks that she forgot. And it's a little offensive. The young lady then asks what he's talking about, and the guy claims that today, their wedding day. The main character is then a little surprised and thinks how she could forget it. But she was very absent-minded. The guy at that time claims that it seems she finally remembered, and the young lady claims that things got her down. The Archduke then lies down on the bed and tells the girl not to worry because not much time has passed since she accepted his feelings, and he has no intention of pressuring her. He also claims that he can wait for her forever, and the young lady is a little surprised. And the boy claims that tomorrow a carriage will be waiting at the back entrance of the palace. He ordered the coachman to take it to his private estate and let the young lady be absolutely sure that her mother got into it. He also claims that he is the only one who knows where the estate is, and even the Duke will not be able to find it. The main character then understands that this will really happen tomorrow. And tomorrow her father, as well as her half-brothers who abused her in the past, will be there. And tomorrow her mother, who is her only family, and the one she loves so much, will come. So now the young lady only sighs. The Archduke takes her hand and assures her that everything will be fine. The main character then asks if he thinks that his father or Kate might suspect something, and the guy replies that that's why he prepared a shabby-looking carriage, and they can simply say that they sent a servant on an errand. The girl then wonders if her father would be interested if her mother suddenly disappeared. The Archduke, with a smile on his face, claims that he will not even ask about it, being more interested in discussing the rites to extract the magic stones. And while he is talking to him, the girl can, under the pretext that she wants to personally talk to her mother, take her away from the palace. The young lady then thanks her husband and thinks whether she can pull it off. And also, what should she do if she can't save her mother? And what if the Duke finds out about their plan before she puts her mother in the carriage, and also if Kate accompanies them? However, the young lady's husband only says that she can, but now she needs to get some sleep, and you need to rest before tomorrow. The next morning, the young lady wakes up and the maid helps her get ready. Elsa, looking at the lady, says that she was already beautiful when she lived in the Duke's mansion, but now she has become even more beautiful. She also says today Her Highness will show them how good it is there, and even if she was forced into this marriage, she will show them how happy she is so that the Duke and the young master will go crazy with envy. The main character says that she will definitely do it too, so let the girl not worry. Then the Archduke enters the room and asks if Idris is ready. The girl replies that yes, she is ready too, after which the man says that they should go then, and they head into the hall. There, the young lady sees a woman with black hair, and when she turns to her, then the girl understands that it is her mother. The Duke at this time bows and affirms that it was a great honor for him to meet the Light of Kaltes. The man only claims that he was waiting for them. And the Duke thinks that every time he meets this guy, he remembers how much his appearance matches his nickname, the Devil. He also thanks His Highness for such a warm welcome, and the man claims that it should be so. It's a long trip, so he thanks them for coming to Kaltes, and it's been a long time since he's seen his wife. The Duke also looks at his daughter and realizes that he thought she would be treated with disdain, but it is an expensive dress. And a hairpin made of rare red jade, and it looks like the girl has settled in well there. Despite his lowly origins, the man still asks how Idris is doing, and he also understands that he must endure this one last time, because after this he will never see her again. However, the Duke at this time turns to the man and he gets a little scared, and the brunette claims that perhaps he is confused because of the long separation from his wife. But now he must remember that Idris is an archduchess, and therefore also the ruler of Kaltes, and wonders if the man understands what that means. After all, he is obliged to treat her with deep respect. The man then bows and asks for forgiveness, and also claims that he was rude. He also asks how Her Highness is doing, and the main character only smiles after that, and he claims that she feels much better than before. The man then realizes that he dressed her and fed her. That's why he doesn't understand how this girl can behave so brazenly, and this is me who claims it at this time. That it was a bit unusual for his generous wife to say something like that, and he wondered how badly the Duke had treated her in the past. And also asks if there is anything to tell him. The young lady's father affirms, "What must be the reason for this is that His Highness treats the Archduchess so well, and he is sure that he has provided her with a wonderful life, but now the Archduchess prefers Kaltes." The main character then thinks what kind of terrible excuse this is. The Archduke at this time suggests that her father go inside, after which they all go in, but then the Archduke stops and asks why. Idris does not want to talk to his mother alone, to which the young lady says that she would be happy to, and also understands that he said that a carriage would be waiting for them near the back entrance, after which the young lady extends her hand to her mother and invites her to go, but at that very moment her brother looms in front of her. The young lady then asks, "What is it?" And the guy is silent for a while, after which he says that he will accompany Her Highness. The main character after this only smirks and thinks, what kind of a sight is this? But he addresses her with such respect, and she thinks that the words that Khalid said to the Duke put pressure on him too. Well, she can't allow Kate to go with them, so now the girl claims that everything is fine, and the boy should go with his father, and also the Archduke Khalid then says yes. And he will only disturb the lady, but the young man then says that so much time has passed since he saw his sister. So he goes with them, so they can talk. The brunette is silent for a while after that, but then turns to Duke Beatrice, and he asks whether it turns out that his son, unlike him, is not going to cooperate in their negotiations today, and also asks how he should understand this, after which the Duke thinks what he should do. But then he just grabs his son and asks how he dares to upset the Archduke, so let him apologize immediately. The young man then asks for forgiveness and claims that he was not in his right mind and will also give the summer time to be alone. The main character then turns to her mother and invites her to go, and the rest of the family watches as they leave. The woman, when they leave the room, asks where they are going. The main character replies that they are heading to the back door, and there should be a pig there who will take her to Khalid's estate, and only he knows its location so that mother will be safe there. But the woman then wonders why the young lady is a little surprised, and also asks what she is talking about. Her mother at this time claims that she understands that the girl is trying to save her from the Duke, but what is she going to do next, and is she really going to lock her in the Duke's estate instead of the Duke's houses? The main character then asks if she is talking about locking her up, and she would never do that to her, but the woman says that she knows what the Duke is demanding from her, intimidating her in an impossible way, and so the girl now tries to hide it. That is her only weakness from the whole world, but the young lady claims that she never thought so, and the woman says that let's say she is telling the truth, and there was no such thing in her thoughts. But how can she believe that the Archduke is not the one trying to get rid of her? The young lady then turns to her mother and says that the rumors about Khalid are full of lies, and they planned it all together, so she takes her mother's hands in hers and asks her to trust her at least once. She also asks the woman to come with her and claims that she has been waiting for the day when she can free her mother. She also tells her not to worry because today she and Khalid will take care of everything. At this time, they are already approaching the handle, and the coachman asks if they are there, to which the girl replies that it is a gift and His Highness told him what to do. The man then replies that of course he will take her there safe and sound, so there is no need to worry. The main character then turns to her mother and says that they will see each other soon. The woman pushes back, after which the carriage drives away. However, when the Duke looks out the window, then he notices that a carriage is riding there and asks where it is from. The Archduke replies that the butler probably sent a servant on an errand. And the young lady's father realizes that he is becoming paranoid, and if it weren't for this Duke with his menacing nickname Metro, he would never have left Idris and Hani alone. But he is sure that he has nothing to worry about because the rights to the mines are the only thing he needs to focus on now. The emperor is sitting on his throne and sighing. At this time, someone turns to him and asks if something is wrong. The man then asks where Duke Beatrice is now, and the guy replies that he left his estate a few days ago. And so today he arrived in Kaltes. The emperor then asks the boy if he thinks that Duke Beatrice has already met the Archduke, and the young man replies that yes. Enough time has already passed for him to reach the palace and meet with the Archduke. The blonde says yes, and that means Beatrice's estate must be empty. He thinks that the time has come to do what Khalid suggested, but the servant turns to His Majesty and claims that Ken Beatrice is still in residence. The man then asks if the servant is talking about this guy, and the young man replies that he is, and he is the eldest son in Beatrice's family, and the Duke has apparently left him in charge of the estate for them while they are in Caltez. The Emperor then claims that he knows that Ken Beatrice is the Duke's eldest son, but that the tiny tiger cub is no match for him. The servant then asks what His Majesty wants to say, but he only tells the boy to send the knights to the Duke's estate. After all, he can't miss the opportunity that his nephew presented, and they also have to find evidence. To destroy these traitors, the man says that if the guy finds something suspicious, he should immediately inform him. A little while later, Ken asks what this means, and how can the Imperial Knights burst in without warning, and don't they know that this estate belongs to the head of the aristocrats? The head butler then says that he is very sorry, and they insisted that they came by order of the Emperor, and he was powerless against them. The brunette then screams, "What the hell?" And he should have stopped them, and also should have done everything possible to prevent this from happening. Well, then the man wonders if the Emperor and the Archduke really planned this together because he called his father, and that's what he needed from the very beginning. The guy also understands that there are still documents in the office that he did not have time to get rid of, as well as letters that his father wrote to other aristocrats, inviting them to join the rebellion. At this time, someone turns to the knights and tells them to start searching from the second floor. However, the brunette then screams at them to stop because this is the house of Duke Beatrice, and he asks if they really think that they won't pay for this. However, one of the knights then asked with a smirk on his face if the guy hadn't heard since this was an order from the Emperor himself. Ken then asked what the knight was talking about when he claimed that they were simply following orders to inspect the traitor's estate. At this time, someone shouts to the captain that they have found them, after which he tells him to look there. And this document contains forbidden information about the creation of enchanted swords, and the Emperor did not give them permission to do so. After which he screams out for the traitor to be arrested. The Archduke at this time heads down the corridor and sighs. He realizes that he had to pretend to bargain in order to buy himself some time, but spending even such a small amount of time with Duke Beatrice is unbearable. After which the man enters his wife's room and the young lady asks if he is back, and also asks how the conversation with the Duke went, and the guy answers that it doesn't matter whether it was successful or not, they just needed to buy a little time. The young lady then asks if he didn't suspect anything, and the guy then remembers how he asked where this crew was going. The Archduke then replied that the butler had probably sent one of the servants on an errand, but was now thinking about it. Is this man's intuition really that developed? It's too much to be a coincidence. After which he tells the girl not to worry, and what is more important is whether her mother got out safely. The main character then replies that yes, she left without any problems, and she was just wary from the very beginning. The man then asks if she is talking about being wary, and the girl replies that yes, and after all, she has experienced a lot at the Duke's estate, but she thinks that she has already reached his estate, and the guy says that most likely. He also realizes that now that he thinks about it, Khalid had to do a lot to make this plan work. But then something knocks on the window, and the young lady wonders if it is a criminal, but they are so high up. At this time, the Archduke opens the window and the young lady says that this could be dangerous. But at that very moment, a falcon flies into the room, and the main character asks if this is really a bird. After which she also sees a letter on her paw and realizes that she has never seen a falcon used as a messenger bird. The Archduke opens the letter and claims that it is the Emperor's falcon and that it only delivers secret messages, so there must be urgent news for him. The main character just strokes the falcon and asks what it says about men. They claim that this is good news. The falcon then flies away, and the man claims that it looks like the Emperor has inspected the Duke's estate. The young lady wonders what happened and whether they were able to find evidence. The man claims that after the search they found evidence that the Duke was trying to illegally create an enchanted sword, and for this reason, Ken Beatrice was arrested. During the document check, correspondence was found between him and other aristocrats, and through these letters they discussed the plan for the uprising, so for Duke Beatrice it's all over. The main character then asks if this is true, and the man replies that yes, after which the young lady understands that it is finally all over, and she is saved from falling into eternal sleep, but the girl wonders why she feels this way, and she has mixed feelings of relief and bitterness, after which the girl turns to Khalid and asks him to hug her. She also understands that everything will be fine, and the Archduke at this time agrees, after which he hugs the young lady, and she thinks that everything will be fine because he is next to her. A little while later, the Duke and his son enter the Archduke's room, and the boy asks what he is doing. Khalid at this time only tells the boy to continue barking, and Kate claims that this is unacceptable. And the man called them to negotiate about the rights to extract the magic stone, but all he did was waste their time with his empty words and also let this woman be Idris's birth mother. But Hani is officially the Duke's servant, and that means she is their property, and they also just heard that their servant hasn't returned to his quarters since last night. The young man also claims that he would never have thought that the great Archduke would desire a pathetic servant girl, and he must return her to them now. The Archduke then thinks for a moment and states that there are 3 things he misunderstood. Firstly, now you shouldn't address Hani as the Duke's maid since Idris is his wife, which means Hani is his mother-in-law, and he doesn't think the guy is stupid enough to call the Archduke's mother-in-law a servant. And secondly, he didn't steal her anywhere and never forced her to do anything to anyone because the woman chose his protection of her own free will. And thirdly, he is now forbidden to own any property. The man then wonders what the Archduke is talking about, and he claims that this joke is no longer funny, so he asks to stop it immediately. However, the man claims that this is not a joke. From this point on, they are not allowed to own anything. All the things they had until today and everything that they valued will turn to dust. The Duke then cries out that he is talking nonsense and he may be the Archduke of Kaltez, but his behavior today is unacceptable. However, the Archduke only laughs after this and says that under no circumstances. After all, he is talking to traitors to the Empire and will even say that he is too polite to them. After which he asks Idris if this is true and what she thinks. The girl then only turns away. And also with a smile on her face, she claims that she thinks it looks pretty pathetic, and even their reactions are pathetic and cowardly. The only choice they have now is to get down on their knees and beg or categorically renounce their claims. She also can't believe how merciful Khalid is to them now. However, the young man cries out that this is absurd, and he wonders where the girl heard such a thing, but they were framed. The Archduke then asks if the guy is saying that they were framed, and he claims that apparently the Emperor had already searched their house, and did they seriously think that he would give up the rights to extract the magic stones? But they really did fall right into a trap, and it was quite reckless. The Duke then claims that this cannot be, and that he was stalling because he was simply trying to give the temperature more time to search the house. And the young lady's brother claims that there was some kind of mistake, and that there was a clear misunderstanding because they would never... He was set up, after which the young man also screams at Idris and approaches her, and he also grabs her by the leg and begs her to say that everything is not so because she knows what. They did nothing wrong, so let the girl tell the Archduke that they are innocent. The young man begs her once again, and the main character understands that for the first time, Kate looked at her without hatred or contempt, and all she saw in his pleading eyes was despair and fear. At this time, the young man claims that he will ask her as her brother, which surprises the girl a little, after which he smirks and also asks if he wasn't the one who forbade me from calling myself that. Now he wants to take back the role of big brother. The girl also says that it is too late to become a family. Well, the young man then gets up from the floor and angrily addresses Idris, after which he asks how she dares to say such a thing. After all, the girl is such a worthless thing. However, the main character can no longer stand it, after which she rises from her seat. And he gives his brother a resounding slap and says, "What a worthless thing he is." The young lady also screams out if he even knows what she had to go through while living in that horrible house, and she kept hoping that one day people would start to care about her, and she also convinced herself that one day her family would love her. But now she knows that she was a fool to dream of such a thing. The Archduke at this time takes his sword from its sheath, and he says that it seems they still don't understand where they made a mistake and don't even repent, after which he already swings at these two, and the young lady asks Khalid to stop. The guy then says that because of these two, the young lady suffered, and isn't this the best retribution for all their deeds? However, the main character claims that she does not want to punish them like that, after which the guy asks what she means. And the girl claims that she does not intend to respond to them with the same cruelty with which they treated her, and if she does so, she will be no better than them. The Archduke then says that this is quite fair, and he's so stained with red liquid that it's enough for both of them, and she shouldn't burden herself with guilt about it. After which he wounds the young lady's brother, and the main character asks, a little surprised, what he is doing. And she tells him not to do this because he promised that he would obey her. The solution is a little surprised after this. And the girl claims that this means that everything he does is done with her will in mind, and asks how she can avoid feeling guilty after this. But not for them, but for Khalid, as if she forced him to do it. The guy then claims that he can't let the girl feel guilty, and he understood. A little while later, the young lady's brother and father scream to be released. Ethan looks at them and asks His Highness what they should do with them. The man replies that they are traitors and have attempted to rebel against the emperor, and His Majesty has asked him to lock them in prison and also to keep a close eye on them. The Archduke's confidant then agrees, and he tells the guards to take them away. The young lady's father then screams that this is ridiculous and let him go, and his son screams that they can't do that. The Archduke then turns to his wife and asks how she wants to punish them. The girl replies that she wants to take away from them what they value most, and the man asks if they value anything, but it's hard to believe the girl then claims that it's the Duke and his family. They love only themselves and their bloodlines. This is the only important thing for them because they know that it is she who gives them everything: power, wealth, and status. And now that the attempted rebellion has been confirmed, then the emperor will take away all the titles and wealth from the Bietermecke family, and the guy replies that yes, but that's not all because they will be executed. The main character then asks if he can ask the emperor for a favor, after which he asks what his wife wants, and the girl claims that after Togo, her father and brothers will be removed from power. She wants them to be reduced to commoners. She also understands that when they fall into eternal sleep, everything will be forgotten. But she wants them to suffer like she does every single day, and to live like the poorest people, even worse than a pathetic, illegitimate child. The girl then wonders if it will be difficult to fulfill. The Archduke notes that of course not, and he promised her that he would fulfill everything she wished for. And he will do this so the young lady can rest easy. He also wonders what it is like to know that the past has been corrected and that her life is no longer in danger, and nothing more, and also no one will hurt her, and also they will be together forever. After which the two kiss, and the young lady thinks that it is all over, and that her terrible past and the terrible plunge into eternal sleep that she had to endure have actually already passed. It's been several days since Duke Beatrice and Keith were arrested. As for her goals of surviving in her new life, she has finally achieved it and no longer has to fear being put into a crippling sleep. The girl feels relieved, but for some reason, there is still emptiness inside. At this time, someone cries out to Her Highness, and the main character asks Elsa what happened. The girl then only wonders what is going on there and asks what she means. The maid then says that the Duke and the young master have news that these despicable people were secretly planning treason. The main character says that, yes, and Elsa heard the news, but the girl asks why the lady doesn't look surprised. After all, she thought she would be shocked. The main character claims that there is nothing surprising about this. She also realizes that she and Khalid were actually the first to know about it, and she even witnessed it. How they were arrested and dragged away, and besides, she had already gone through many shocks planning this trap. At this time, the maid turns to Her Highness and asks if she is sure that she is okay, and the girl replies that at first she was a little surprised, but now she feels good, and the maid says that she is glad to hear this and was also a little worried that this news could frighten her. And to be honest, she always knew that these people were going to do something like this one day, and they mean that they are too greedy, so it is impossible not to notice. The main character then realizes that she believes Elsa also harbored anger towards them, after which she asks how her father and brother are doing, and the girl replies that when she asked about the knights guarding the dungeon, they said that their angry cries could be heard even from outside. Well, then Elsa says that Her Highness should wait a little, and she's not going to visit them. But what if they try to hurt her? After all, they never regretted what they did. But the main character claims that she still has to see them with her own eyes and understands that she would personally like to see their death. After all, she had been waiting for this moment for quite a long time. A little while later, the girl was already approaching the dungeon, and the knight was interested. Can he ask what brought Her Highness there if she got lost? However, the main character answers that she came there on purpose. The girl also understands that despite Elsa's words, it is quite quiet there, and enough time has passed since their arrest, so she thinks that they are just tired. The young lady also says that she came there to see the traitors, to which the knight is a little surprised. But then he claims that they are there and asks to be allowed to accompany Her Highness. However, the girl claims that there is no need for this, because after all they are in front of the castle, and she only needs a minute to talk to them so she can handle it on her own. After which the young lady goes there and the knight states that if she says so, then let Her Highness not doubt and let them know if she needs them, but the girl replies that there is no need to worry because she will return soon. After which the young lady goes into the basement and her brother asks if it is Idris, after which he all jumps up from his seat. And running up to the bars, he says and screams that she has come. The girl then clenches her fists but thinks that everything is fine because he is behind bars. And the young man at this time tells Idris to look at this because yesterday's wound really hurts and doesn't it look terrible? The young lady then claims that it looks normal and wonders if it hurts him, but she believes that this means that he has the ability to feel pain. The guy then asks what she's talking about, and the girl claims that he always hurt her, like it was nothing. So she just assumed that he himself was incapable of feeling pain. But then who else would approach a young lady and ask if she was happy now? After all, the girl turned the Archduke against them and also sent her own father and brother to Wat, so he asks if she is happy. However, the main character only smiles and claims that it is so funny to hear something like that from him. And wasn't he the one who planned to put her into eternal sleep? The man then asks what she's talking about, and the girl claims that maybe he hasn't thought about it yet. But if Khalid had refused his demand, he would have put her into a crippling sleep and let the man not deny it. The young lady's father then asks why she thinks he would do something like that, and the girl replies that it is because without this deal, she would be useless to him, and isn't it his principle to get rid of things that he considers useless? However, after this the man only laughs and says that this is how the girl imagines taking care of him. But if you think about it, they are not so different. And get rid of someone before he has a chance to cause harm first. This is indeed what he would do, and he always denied her existence due to her low birth. Therefore, I am sure that she was offended by him for this, but let the girl take a look now because of all his children, only she behaves just like him. The man also says that getting rid of him was the right decision after all, and that this is Beatrice's method of getting rid of useless cards in her hand. However, the girl then claims that he is wrong because he is nothing more than a traitorous piece of human waste, and the only thing he can think about before his end is how to admit her to Beatrice. The girl also claims that there was not a single moment when she voluntarily wanted Beatrice and he himself decided it for her. The young lady also asks him if he thinks she would have ended up with him if she were a real Beatrice, and unlike him, she knows what kindness and generosity are. This small difference led him to such a fate. So the girl asks if he really thinks that she is the same because that is not true at all, and he deserves to lose his life. At this time, someone else enters the dungeon and then turns to Idris, and he asks why she came there. The girl replies that she just wanted to talk to them one last time. Khalid Duke tells her not to get too close to those dirty criminals, and he also turns to the young lady's father and says that he had better not say anything unnecessary, and he also hopes that he is not so stupid as to hasten his own immersion into eternal sleep. The man then claims that the traitors will be executed anyway, and the Duke claims that he would gladly behead them both right now. Well, as he knows, Idris is much kinder than he is, and the man then asks what they are going to do. And the Archduke, with a grin on his face, claims that from now on, they will live like peasants. The blonde then asks in shock if they will really live like peasants and also says that this cannot happen. He also says that it would be better to simply put them into a crippling sleep because it is better for him to lose his life than to live like trash. The main character understands that they will have to learn that commoners and peasants are the same people as any nobleman, and the young lady's father then asks in shock if he will really be a peasant, after which he bursts out laughing. A little while later, the young lady is already heading to the estate with her husband, and the brunette claims that he didn't want the girl to see that place. Their main character asks why. The guy replies that he wants to show her only good things, and the girl says, "That's how it is." The main character also says that he shouldn't worry because she's completely fine, and the brunette claims that now nothing threatens her life. The main character then cannot hold back her smile, and also thanks Khed for everything he did for her. The man also claims that he gave the message to the emperor, and instead of execution, he asked that Beatrice be stripped of all her wealth and titles because the plan was his, and the traitor is her family. Then the emperor sent confirmation, and he will fulfill this request. Soon the prisoners will return to their homeland to suffer their punishment, and the main character says that she understands. The girl also understands that the Duke's words have remained firmly in her memory, and the man claimed that she assumed that he would put her into a crippling sleep, but she was wrong. The young lady can't stop thinking about what he said and wonders if she's missing something. At this time, the Archduke asks the girl if something has happened and also if something is bothering her. The main character with a smile on her face replies that nothing, and she thinks that she is just a little tired. The young lady understands that she should not worry about this, and besides, all the evidence points to the Duke's guilt, and she can no longer waste precious time on a foggy future, so she should enjoy today. And she's sure she'll feel better after a breath of fresh air. A few days later, the Imperial Knights arrived. The Emperor announced that as soon as the Duke and Kate returned to the Empire, their property would be confiscated, their status as aristocrats would be revoked, and the traitors would become simple peasants. The protagonist realizes that their insignificant departure had nothing in common with the luxurious arrival they enjoyed a few days earlier on their way to the Archduke's palace. Everyone then whispers and claims that these are the same criminals who tried to hide the emperor and say that they mocked the Archduchess in the past. But what kind of terrible people are these that are now screaming that God will punish them and let them go to hell? Then someone else approaches the young lady and states that he believes they will pay for their sins. It turns out to be Ethan, and he claims that he is glad to see that they will get what they deserve, because it is so annoying to see people acting so arrogant while there. The girl understands that the Duke was expelled in front of the entire aristocracy, and His Majesty approved. That at the request of the Archduke and Archduchess who helped them uncover their crimes, they will not be executed. Instead, he orders that Beatrice's family be stripped of their titles and property. And also, to reduce the Duke and his sons to the lowest class of commoners, he also asked if there were any objectors. But the people only claimed that it was only by the mercy of the Archduke and Archduchess that the traitors were allowed to spare their miserable lives. So they should be grateful. As soon as they left the palace in disgrace, the jeers of the other aristocrats could be heard even on the other side of the city, and the Duke, Ken, and Kate were thrown into the street looking no better than beggars in the gateways. The man then looked at the bird and claimed that it would be better to fall into eternal sleep than this. The Archduke then turns to the young lady and says that it has gotten a little colder, so they should come in. However, the girl asks if they can visit her mother first. Ethan then claims that he just visited her. And the woman feels great. Then the main character asks if it's okay if she is brought to the palace today. The Archduke then replies that, of course, and he will ask Ethan to accompany her, after which he turns to his confidant and asks if he understands. If so, then let him go now and also try to treat her with the utmost respect. The young man then says that the Archduke does not give him a second to rest, and the main character with a smile on her face says that she is counting on Ethan. The guy then says that he will definitely treat the lady with due respect. The girl then says that she hopes her mother will like Countess. The Archduke says that the young lady should not worry because her mother will not want for anything, and he is sure that she will like this place. The woman is in the room at this time and understands that despite the fact that she is the mother of the Archduchess, she has always been treated disrespectfully because she was born a servant, and because of that, she expected to live in one of the old estates of the Archduke, and also thought that it would be one of those places that were only called estates. But from the outside, everything looked decent, but the woman was sure that everything inside was destroyed. She also thought that everything was okay because in any case it would be better than when she spent every day afraid to show even a drop of weakness. She also opens a locket containing a photograph of her daughter and realizes that she can live with Idris if she can suppress her pride. The woman was afraid to get close to Idris since this family hated her, and she realized that her existence would only bring her pain, but she missed her daughter very much and cannot believe that she will be with her again. Of course, only if the Archduke's intentions were pure. The woman also understood that he was trying to keep her close because she was Idris's weakness, and he wants to lock her up and also restrict her mother, and perhaps others cannot lift a finger in her direction. The new Archduke himself has the power to destroy her whenever he wishes. Well then, the woman remembered how the main character asked her to go with her and claimed that she was waiting for the day when she could free her mother. The girl also told her not to worry because now it was Khalid and she would take care of everything. But when the woman opens the door, she is shocked and wonders what it is. At this time, the servants greet her. They also claim that they were expecting her on the orders of His Highness and that the lady must have had an exhausting journey. The woman then realized that she thought she would be locked in an abandoned house, and she wondered if all these people were there to watch her, and most likely the Archduke was warning her to behave quietly. At this time, the head maid greets the mistress and states that it is an honor for them to be assigned to such an important person. She also claimed that His Highness had ordered them to serve her in the best possible way, as she was a very special guest. And the woman also asked how they could address a lady. The young lady's mother said they could call her Honey, and the maid said they would do as she said. Now she understands that everyone is so polite to her, and that they are really there to keep an eye on her. But in any case, she must be on guard. At this time, someone asks if his colleague has heard the news and knows about the aristocrats being brought from the empire. The woman then looked out into the hallway and asked if something was wrong, and one of the maids apologized and claimed that they had been talking too loudly. After which she told the lady what these rumors were, and the young lady's mother thought in shock. Was Beatrice's family banished and reduced to peasant status? She also wondered if Idris knew about it, and that's why she sent her there. At this time, one of the servants approaches the woman and says that this is where Lady Hanny is, and he claims that he is an assistant to the Archduke named Ethan Sorwell. The Archduke and Archduchess wished her to return to the palace, and he would accompany her there. The main character is a little nervous at this time and wonders if her mother will get there safely. At this time, the Archduke turns to her and tells the girl to look there because Ethan is already on his way. The main character then says that she is so glad that they returned safe and sound, after which Ethan gets out of the carriage and also turns to Her Highness and states that he brought Lady Honey as she ordered. The main character is then silent for a while and looks at her mother, after which he starts crying and hugs her. The woman is then a little surprised but still smiles. A little while later, the Archduke asks the woman if anything caused her discomfort while she lived in the estate. She replies that nothing at all, and thanks him and claims that she felt very comfortable. She also apologizes to His Highness and states that her stay was infinitely comfortable, and she humbly thanks him for his generosity. Idris then says that, considering how long they had been apart, she already felt a certain distance between them, but when she addresses her like this, their relationship seems completely cold to her. Therefore, the main character says that there is no need to speak so formally, but the woman replies that no, and she cannot allow herself to do so, because that would be absurd. The main character also thinks that her mother understands that she is now in a precarious position, and she must have noticed the awkwardness in the servant's behavior. She also understands that if she is not careful, she could end up worse off in this house than when she lived with the Duke. After which she says that since Togo's mother wants it, she cannot force her. However, the Archduke comes closer and claims that after so many events, he will finally be able to greet her properly. And he says what a relief it is to hear that she was satisfied with her stay at the estate. But it is a real honor for him to meet her. The main character then understands that after such respect from Khalid to her mother, the maids will have no choice but to follow his example. The woman at this time claims that all this is due to the mercy of His Highness, and she regrets that she cannot repay his kindness. The Archduke at this time takes the young lady by the hand, and the girl then whispers her thanks to him, but the young lady's mother turns to His Highness And he asks why he is respectful to such a modest woman like her, and she is grateful to him, but there is no need for this. The Archduke then takes the hand of the young lady's mother in his own and kisses it. He also claims that she is the only mother of his wife, the Archduchess. Therefore, he asks the woman not to belittle herself. The main character at this time thinks what a relief this is, and now no one in Kaltes will dare to neglect her mother. The woman at this time only sighs and thinks that it is difficult for her to accept everything that has happened in these 2 days and wonders if everything will be okay. At this time, the Archduke orders a welcoming dinner to be prepared, and a little while later they are already sitting at the table. And Khalid says that the journey to Kaltes must have been long and she must be tired. And spending a long time in his modest estate must be tiring, so he prepared many dishes to give her strength and hoped that they would be to her taste. The woman then asks if this estate is really modest, and claims that it is not so because the estate was not only very spacious, but also elegant and beautiful. The main character then says that she is glad to hear that her mother liked Kaltes, after which she asks her to help herself before the food gets cold because their chef is very skilled. The woman then thanks her, but when she puts a piece of meat in her mouth, she is very surprised and thinks how delicious it is. Then she also looks at her daughter and sees how the Archduke feeds her, after which they even knock glasses together. And when the main character looks at her mother, she sees that she is surprised, and the girl understands that she has become so accustomed to this in her new life that she completely forgot about her mother, and now she is only embarrassed, and the woman at this time is thinking, "Isn't this guy the one they call a tyrant?" At this time, the main character thanks Khalid and says that she can handle it herself and that she can eat herself. The girl then wonders, a little embarrassed, whether her mother saw how Khalid fed her. Khalid at this time turns to the young lady and asks why she suddenly started fussing about the girl, thinking that her mother saw everything. The Archduke then claims that he feeds her every day and does not understand why she is so embarrassed now. The main character then wonders if he is doing this on purpose and is just teasing her, and the woman at this time says that she is so pleased to see how they get along. Idris thanks her, but after that there is silence between them, and the young lady only puts food in her mouth, and also wishes her mother a bon appetit. A little while later, she is already going with her mother down the corridor. Their woman claims that, to be honest, she was surprised, and the young lady asks what she is talking about. After which, the young lady's mother claims that she had not said this before, but the news that Her Highness was marrying the Archduke saddened her. And the girl was literally forced to do it, so she was sure that she would be doomed to an unhappy life like her. Not to mention the rumors surrounding His Highness, the main character then thinks that it is no wonder why her mother had such an impression. And in her past life she also considered herself unlucky. The woman at this time claims that now she is convinced that she was wrong, and it is true what they say that you shouldn't trust people's rumors. And she also thinks that her mother, why did she fall in love with the Archduke? The main character then turns to her mother a little surprised, and she only states that it is obvious that His Highness values her very much. After all, even from her who is a stranger, this did not hide. And she is happy knowing that everything is fine with them. Idris then wonders if it is her mother. All this time she was worried about her. After which the girl goes to her mother and hugs her, and also claims that she missed her too, after which they approach the woman's room and the young lady says that today it is her room. The young lady's mother is then a little surprised and claims that even the room in the manor seemed too luxurious for her. And it's just wonderful there, so she thanks Her Highness, and the main character says that she's glad to hear that she likes it, after which the girl turns around and says that perhaps she will go then and wishes her mother good night. The woman also wishes Her Highness good night, and the main character goes out into the corridor. But then he is a little surprised and wonders what Elsa is doing there. When the hospital sees Her Highness, he immediately turns to her. The main character then asks what happened, and the maid only asks if she liked the dinner, to which the main character replies that she did, and that she was very happy with everything. She also claims that her mother had dinner with her, and the maid says that she knew it, and thank God, everything is fine. After all, it had been so long since she had seen Lady Honey that she was worried about how their reunion would go. The main character then says that the girl should meet her tomorrow because she herself hasn't seen her for a long time, and she is sure that her mother misses Elsa. The maid then asks if this is true and thanks Her Highness. But then she also turns to the lady and asks what she thinks about the idea of going for a walk with Lady Hanny. The pleasure workers would have told her that she had not had the opportunity to look around in Kaltes. The main character then says that it is true, and maybe it is worth giving her something at the same time. Elsa says that it is a great idea. Then the Archduke enters the room, and the maid says that he is the same, after which he asks her to forgive him. The man then closes the door and asks what they talked about, and the main character replies that Elsa offered to give her mother a short tour of Kaltes. The Archduke replies that he agrees and that it is a wonderful idea since it has not come to light for a long time either. The young lady then says yes, and thanks Khalid for his action earlier because he helped strengthen her mother's position there, and she is really very grateful for this, but the Archduke says that he did nothing special, and there is nothing to thank him for. In any case, it would have to be done. He is sorry for their word, but he won't be able to keep them company tomorrow because he has unfinished business. Their main character says that she understands. And the guy claims that then he will send Ethan and the knights to accompany them. The young lady then asks, a little surprised, if Ethan is my assistant, and if she is the Archduchess, but she thinks that taking his only assistant for a walk is still unnecessary. However, the man then asks to take the guy with him because he is not only an assistant, but he is also a wonderful swordsman, and if something happens, he is able to protect them. The main character realizes that, now that she thinks about it, Ethan often goes with the knights, and given Khalid's words, he must be a truly talented warrior. The Archduke at this time asserts that even though the assassin who hurt her more isn't a threat, he still wants to protect her, and this is his duty. The main character then says that it is good and she will listen to him, and the guy says that this is great, and if she wants to buy something, then let her write it down in his name because he will pay for all the purchases. The young lady is then a little surprised and says that it is not worth it. However, the guy is only interested in why their girlfriend claims that it's not even her money, and she can't spend it on herself because who is she to throw his money around? However, the guy claims that he doesn't care how much she spends, so let the girl do with it as she pleases. And besides, the internal affairs of the family are the wife's responsibility, including taking care of finances. Well, the girl then claims that she had never done this before, and it was not because he could not trust her with anything, because she always thought that this is why he did everything alone. The guy then asks how he could even think that. But he did do that, so that she wouldn't be overloaded with work and everything would be just for her comfort, so he's surprised that she took it that way. The main character is then a little surprised and asks what he is talking about. The guy asks why, in her opinion, he tried so hard to become rich, but it was because he wanted her to be able to buy whatever she wanted. Khalid claims that they have plenty of money, so she shouldn't be shy about spending it on herself. Well, the young lady claims that she cannot and does not even know how to manage money properly. However, the man only comes closer to her and says that this will not do. The young lady is a little surprised and asks what he is talking about. And the guy claims that from now on she is obliged to spend 5,000 gold a day, and this is his order. The young lady then asks if it is really that much, and realizes that for that money she could open a small store in the capital of the empire, after which she screams that she will never be able to spend such a sum in one day. And what if they go broke? However, the guys claim that he wouldn't be Albert if they could go broke so easily. And this will not happen, so let the girl boldly use them every day. And he will check. The next day, the girl is already in the city, and he asks if Mom liked the breakfast. The woman replies that she did, and it was too good for her. And the main character claims that she did say that there was no need to be so modest anymore, after which she suggests taking a walk today and claims that she thought she would like to see Kaltes. The woman replies that she was not bored at all in the palace and thanks Her Highness. The main character realizes that she is not sure that she will be able to spend all 5,000 gold in a day, as Khalid said, but today she will spend a little. The coachman asks where the lady wants to go, and the girl answers that she wants to go to Madame Redmond's shop. A little while later, the woman greets Her Highness and asks how she can help them today. The girl replies that she would like to pick out some outfits for her mother, and the woman says that then they will start with measurements, after which they measure the young lady's mother and ask if she would like a particular design. The woman apologizes but says that she does not know much about fashion. However, the main character, just like the Duke, extends her hand and tells them to stop, and also asks to bring all the dresses in her mother's size. The woman then says that they will do as Her Highness wishes, and when they finally bring these dresses, the girl points to one of them and also claims that from there and to there, they will take them all. The boutique owner is shocked after this, and the young lady's mother at this time turns to Her Highness and says that it is not necessary. The main character says that all this should be written down in the name of the Duke, and they delivered everything to the palace, after which everyone is surprised and also screams that they obey Her Highness. The girl leaves the boutique, after which she is embarrassed and understands that she always wanted to try to do the same as Khalid. She also remembers how the man insisted that they pack everything from there to there, but now the girl thinks that she is so embarrassed. At this time, someone turns to Her Highness and asks if she is sure about this, and also asks what if the Archduke gets angry because of such extravagance, because one dress would be more than enough for her. However, the main character turns to her mother and tells her not to worry, because everything is quite the opposite, and Khalid himself wants her to spend as much as possible, so she offers to buy her more accessories. After that, they go to a jewelry store. The worker there claims that their visit is an honor for her, after which she asks them to come in, and also claims that as soon as there are left of them, they will lay out the best goods for them, and they can take their time to examine everything carefully, and if they have any questions, they should not hesitate to contact them. The main character, looking at all these decorations, understands that she has never seen a moonstone shine so elegantly. But this is all masterful work, and all these decorations are so beautiful that she can't stop looking. The girl then claims that they are all beautiful and women that she is glad to know that they liked Her Highness. The main character then turns to her mother and asks what about her, but the woman then does not answer her and only looks at the jewelry. After which, the main character comes closer to her and asks if she likes it. Hani claims that it is so beautiful that she can't take her eyes off it, after which the young lady says that she will take it. And the shop worker agrees and also asks if Her Highness wants her to help her put it on. The girl answers that it is not for her, but for her mother, after which the woman is put on this decoration, and the main character says that it suits her very well. The jewelry store employee also claims that Azari's tear has finally found its owner, and the woman looks amazing. She also asks if Her Highness has taken a closer look at anything else, and the young lady understands that she is not sure that what she bought with his money can be called a gift. She then points to one of the brooches and claims that she likes it. The girl realizes that the red matches Khalid's eyes. At this time, the young lady's mother claims that this pin resembles the Archduke's eyes and that their color is pure but very deep. The young lady then turns to her mother in shock and asks if she can read her mind. The woman just smiles and says no, and she just has that expression on her face when she sees the Archduke. The main character then asks if she is really that obvious, and then someone thanks Her Highness for the visit, after which the young lady leaves the store. There Ethan meets her and asks if Her Highness has finished shopping. The girl then only turns to the guy and asks if she can have him for a minute, after which he agrees. And the young lady pins a brooch to his suit and claims that it is a gift in gratitude for his kindness to her, and she wanted to express her appreciation. The guy then repeats the word kindness and says that, of course, Her Highness is so kind to everyone, even to someone like him. The young man also clenches his hands, but then realizes that he needs to calm down. And he smiles and thanks the lady, and claims that he will cherish it. The guy also asks if it's time for them to return to the castle, and tells the main character that she is glad that he likes it, after which he suggests that they return, because it's already getting dark. The guy at this time thinks about the young lady and understands that she is smart, beautiful, and kind, so he thinks how he cannot be devoted to her. A little while later, the young lady is already near the carriage and tells her mother that they should return to the palace. The woman then suggests doing so, and the young lady claims that there is also something to see there, and the garden in the backyard is especially beautiful. The woman, when she says that it is good, and she also wants to see it sooner. And the young lady understands that if she thinks about it, what did Ethan mean then? Because remembering those days when he said that some people can be hurt even by words of consolation, she thought about what happened to him in the past. But the girl understands that the guy is an assistant whom Khalid trusts and people who treat her well, so it is hard for her to realize that such people suffered in the past. A little while later, they enter the garden, and the young lady's mother claims that it is indeed very beautiful there. The main character asks her mother if this is true and claims that she wanted to come there with her. Ethan claims that this place was specially created for her by the Archduke, and the young lady's mother claims that this is incredible. And the man then smiles and says that this place belongs to Lady Idris, and only to her. The main character then tells Ethan not to say that, but the guy denies that it is true because she was able to melt the cold heart of the Archduke. The girl then does not even know what to say. And her mother claims that the Archduke is really so romantic, Ethan says that. Of course, and for Her Highness's sake, he is ready not only to create a garden, but also to give her everything she wants. And among the people working there is no one who does not know this. The Archduke at this time understands that his ears are burning and he must tell Ethan to take care of the office. The woman at this time turns to the Archduke's assistant and claims that it looks like this is indeed the case, and the young lady then says that in any case, Mother can come there at any time, after which the woman thanks her daughter. It was a wonderful, peaceful time, and if she could stop time, she would choose this moment. The flower petals raised by the wind into the sky seemed to take away all the bad moments of the past. And the young lady now thinks that this is what it means to be happy, after which she smiles sincerely and understands that this is what she thought. However, her mood was spoiled as soon as she saw a familiar face in the corridor, and now the girl understands that it is Harold Florent. The girl was going to the office to give a gift to Khalid and met him. The young lady also remembers how he addressed her at the ball and understands that this is a man she would not want to meet. The guy at this time only clenches his teeth. And also greets Her Highness. The girl then replies that yes, and turning around says that she is glad to see Florent. The young lady also thinks that it would be better if she pretended not to know him and passed by, but she hopes that he is not going to make a scene because that is Khalid's territory. After which, the young lady turns to the guy and says that it seems he is in a hurry, and if he has something to tell her, then she suggests postponing it until next time. Well, the guy then turns to Her Highness and asks to allow her to give her advice. The young lady then wonders what has come over him and asks if he has any complaints. The guy claims that she knows that after the wedding the Archduke has changed a lot, and the young lady wonders what he means by that. The guy replies that after the girl appeared in his life, he began to poison her, and this is natural because he spends all his time there and surprises only her with attention. Idris then asks what Togo says about the guy, that he does not think that this is for the good. Because of this, the Archduke cannot look after his lands. The main character then says that the guy is carrying on because he already knows how diligently the Archduke fulfills his duties, so she asks why he is telling her this. Gerald claims that his duties are to take care of Kaltes and let the girl look around because all His Highness cares about now is her mother, and her problems. The main character understands that there are no problems with believing in the realms, and if there were, Ethan would have immediately found out about it, or Elsa would have mentioned it, because she is aware of all the rumors. The herald then claims that the man used to work late into the night, but now as soon as it gets dark, he immediately runs to her in peace, and this is nothing more than disregard for national affairs. But the main character then asks if he doesn't think it's too rude, because when night falls, he immediately comes to her because she is his wife, and if the man isn't too arrogant towards the Archduchess, and also says that he spends less time on work, and the guy must have heard that His Highness recently caught the rebels, but she and her mother helped him with this, and the guy spreads all sorts of gossip without really knowing anything. She also claims that this went beyond the borders of Kaltes and was a threat of national proportions, so the young lady asks if he also considers this to be disregard for the affairs of the nation. The young man then apologizes if he spoiled Her Highness's mood, but he would like her to think about how she influences him, after which the guy turns around and leaves. And the main character then wonders if she is really a burden to the Archduke, after which she looks at the box in her hands with a gift for him but still turns around and heads to her room. A little while later, the young lady is already lying in her bed and remembers the words of that guy about how the Archduke has changed a lot since the wedding. The girl understands that Harold just ran into her and left. But unlike the previous times, there is some truth in his words now, and the girl understands that he is right in some ways, and if you think about it, he probably spent a lot of time sorting out her family and helping her mother. And he spends a lot of time with her lately, so the girl wonders if she really has a bad attitude towards Khalid. And is it really because of her that he can't cope with his duties? Besides, was there ever a time when she could be useful? The girl also understands that to plunge into eternal sleep and rise again, as well as to take revenge for her plunge into crippled sleep and save her mother, all this is not her merit, and it was he who completely figured it out. So they have a one-sided relationship, and even though they love each other, their capabilities and strength are diametrically different. And Harold, who is the third person, but the girl thinks that she has no choice but to admit that there is some truth in his words. So now the young lady only laughs sadly, but then puts her hand on her face. And she thinks what to do after all this night became a test for her heart. A little while later, the girl gets up from the table and says that she has eaten, so she will probably go. However, the guy grabs her hand and asks if something happened. Idris replies that no, and everything is fine, and also wonders why he is asking. The guy then only tells her to tell him if she needs anything. Well, then someone turns to His Highness and asks if he has finished his meal because he urgently needs to hand over important documents that require his attention. The man then turns to the servant and then rises from his seat and tells Idris to be sure to tell. The girl then looks at him and then realizes that it is true, and he is always so busy. And for the last few days, she tried to keep her distance from him so as not to interfere, and this was her personal decision. But the girl wonders why she is in so much pain, but she just hopes that Khalid will not notice. The Archduke at this point realizes that Idris seems to be avoiding even talking to him. Not long ago, the guy suggested going for a walk and claimed that he thought he hadn't spent enough time with her lately. However, the girl only said that he was so busy, so she suggested doing it some other time, and the girl stopped coming to his office because it seemed like she didn't want to meet with him at all, but she was the one who worried him the most. Ethan, he told him to accompany them on walks, and it seems Idris is starting to get closer to him. Some time ago, he even saw the two of them in the hallway. The girl said that the guy seemed busy and let him say if it was because of her, because she was worried. The young man then only smiled and claimed that he was working for the well-being of Kaltes, and how could it be burdensome, after which the young lady thanked him. And the Archduke understands that he is very angry at how she worries about him, and he thinks why the girl behaves differently with him, and why she laughs so much when she is with him. The girl also said that Ethan tried hard, and she knows one good tea that helps relieve fatigue, so she will send one to him. The young man then thanked the young lady and said that she was so kind, and the Archduke, overhearing this, thought how this was annoying him, after which he approached these two and they got a little scared. Khalid then turned to Ethan and said that he had been wondering why he wasn't in the office, but the guy had so much free time to hang around there. The main character then turned to the Archduke, and she said that she was simply talking to him about her request, and the man said that it was clear and also understood what it meant that she asked him for something but he knew nothing about it. After which the man just turned around and said that it was time for them to go, and the confidant only agreed in response, and the main character only hoped that he hadn't noticed anything. The Archduke then went into his office with the guy, and Ethan asks what has the Archduke so upset. However, the man only looks at his protégé angrily and asks what he is talking about. And the guy replies that nothing, after which the man asks if Ethan has a girlfriend since this is the first time he sees this brooch. The Archduke's confidant then thinks whether he should tell him this, and he claims that the Archduchess gave it to him. The man then only cried out why she gave it to him. The knight claims that she simply said that he tried hard in Kaltes, and he heard that she bought him a gift, after which he wonders if the Archduke hasn't received it. The guy is sure that there was a gift for his master as well, but now when he looks at it, he wonders if he really hasn't received anything yet. The Archduke is only wondering if Idris suddenly decided to buy a gift for Ethan. He also wonders if this guy got a gift and he didn't, and he's very upset right now. The Archduke's confidant claims that it's just a small reward from a superior to the lower, and there is no hidden meaning, and also he is sure that his gift is much better, and he thinks that the Archduke will receive it very soon. However, his master then replies that no, and rises from his table, and also approaches Ethan and asks why he was given it earlier. The guy understands that for him, Idris always comes first, and his world revolves around her, so it hurts him to realize that for her he is not number one. It is not enough for them that they are so close. So she also gave him a brooch. The Archduke now claims that he sent Ethan to help the young lady in everything and protect her, and he apparently settled in well and therefore received a gift. The young man doesn't even know what to say after this, and the Archduke grabs him by the brooch and that he can wear it because he is not against it, since this is Idris's desire, but let the guy take it off at least in front of him. Ethan then, in shock, thinks what this expression on the Archduke's face really means. That he is jealous now. A little while later, the man is already thinking about the fact that Idris gave the brooch to Ethan, and the man is thinking why she did it, and also whether she was really just grateful. But then the brunette thinks about what he is thinking about, and understands that they have hardly seen each other lately. The main character at this time only sighs heavily, and Elsa turns to Her Highness and asks if something has happened to her. The main character replies that she wanted to say that everything is fine, but probably everything is already visible on her. However, now she is not ready to tell about it and apologizes to the maid. The girl understands that her heart is so heavy because she herself puts up barriers between her and Khalid, and if only she could speed up the flow of time. The girl also understands that she loves him, but she needs to sort everything out, so she can't be with him now, even if she really wants to, and if she is nearby, she will only become a burden. And his burden will only get heavier, so no one is to blame except her. The girl also clenches her fists and thinks that in order to get closer to him, she needs to be worthy of him. And from now on, she will live only by her own mind and will not act on someone else's orders, so you just need to be patient a little, no matter how bored she gets. At this time, the aristocrats are in the Archduke's office. The brunette claims that he heard that taxes on the Florent lands had increased sharply and they were sending materials that would be enough for domestic water supply. And he even invested a lot of money in this. The guy the Archduke is talking to is shaking a little, and he just addresses him menacingly and asks why he brought this report, and also says how pathetic he is, and after all he gave him an assignment, after which the man asks if he did it. Harold then apologizes and asks to give him a little more time, but the Archduke says that not only is he incompetent, but he also dares to ask him for something and he will have to punish him, and it is night. So let the guy go. The young man then asks the Archduke not to do this. However, the man only says that it is enough and let the next one come. He also wonders if the others have nothing to say, and then they will finish for today. At that moment, the aristocrats run out of the office, and one of them claims that His Highness has been angry a lot lately. Another says that he thought that the man would soften with the appearance of the Archduchess. Another asks if something has happened because he is getting more and more afraid to come there each time. Ethan, hearing all this, wonders if something bad has happened, but if you think about it, he and his wife hardly ever cross paths, and it seems that something happened between them, so it means that he needs to devote more time to the Archduchess. The brunette suddenly gets up from the table, which scares the guy, after which he claims that he is going to train, and that Ethan should not follow him. The young man then agrees, but the Archduke just slams the door. The guy then realizes that something serious seems to have happened and he needs to talk to the Archduchess. But she is so kind. The knights on the training ground at this time greet the Duke, and the man claims that he just came to practice, so let them not pay attention and continue doing their business. Then he takes out his ball and starts training. The Archduke also understands that no matter how much he trains, Idris does not leave his head, and he wants to understand why she acts this way as well as what she thinks about, and maybe she no longer loves him. And also her feelings cooled down. Well, then the man remembers how good they were together and how the girl claimed that all she wanted was for Khalid to be near. So now the Archduke only claims that he must see her. The main character at this time goes down the corridor with the maid and asks if the guy accepted the girl's feelings. Elsa claims that as soon as he heard this, he immediately ran to the kitchen. At this time, someone approaches the young lady and claims that he has finally found the Archduchess. The main character then asks if Ethan was looking for her and if something really happened, and he just looks at the maid and answers that yes. and he also wanted to ask her herself. Elsa immediately realizes that she should leave and claims that Lily asked for advice, so she tells the Archduchess that she will go. Idris says, "That's fine," and then she will tell you how it all ended. She also turns to the Archduke's confidant and says that it seems to be something important. The guy replies that it is nothing and he just didn't want anyone else to hear it. The young lady then asks what exactly, and the guy suggests they talk in the backyard garden because he thinks there definitely won't be any extra ears there. A little while later, they are already there, and the girl asks what he wanted to say. The young man then claims that the question may seem a little rude, and the girl tells him to ask because everything is fine. She understands that she thought she was close enough with Ethan, but she also wonders what kind of topic it is that he is so cautious about. The young man at this time asks if the lady had accidentally quarreled with the Archduke, and the girl understands that Ethan is the Archduke's assistant, and even if he understood, it means that Khed has already suspected something, after which the young lady only turns away and claims that nothing happened. But then she claims that she will be honest, and the whole problem is in her. The guy then asks what she is talking about and is there something that does not suit her? The main character asks if he remembers that she recently asked him to explain to her all the intricacies of conducting internal affairs. The guy claims that if she talks about merging Beatrice's property with, however, the girl interrupts him and claims that this is only a superficial reason and that she has been thinking for the last few days. Does she deserve to be a person like the Archduke? The brunette is walking around looking for Idris, and one of the maids claims that the mistress went into the garden with Ethan Sorwell. The young lady claims that she realized that she has a bad influence on him because all she can do is receive without giving anything in return. The guy then asks what she is talking about because she can't say anything like that. The Archduke at this time turns to the maid and asks if they are alone there. The young lady of the heat claims that this is why she wanted to learn how to manage internal affairs, and she wants to become an archduchess worthy of him. The Archduke at this time goes to the garden and thinks whether they are alone with each other and also what is on Idris's mind. The young lady at this time claims that she is scared and because of her Khed cannot concentrate on his duties. Ethan is silent for a while, but then he clenches his teeth and realizes that the lady is so kind and friendly, after which the young man approaches her and asks why she thinks so, because it is not so, and her mere presence helps him a lot. The guy also wonders why she belongs to a demon like Khed. The girl claims that in order to be useful, she must keep her distance for now. But she misses him so much. Ethan then puts his hands on the young lady's shoulders and claims that he doesn't know what made her think that way, but he sees that she's having a hard time and she can cry because he is. However, at that very moment someone shouts the name Idris, and when the guy turns around he sees that it is Khed. The brunette at this time turns to Ethan Sorwell and claims that he is the assistant he trusted the most, and also asks if he really decided to encroach on the most valuable thing he has, after which she tells the guy to quickly remove his hands and asks what he was doing there. The blonde then understands that the gentleman will definitely put him into a crippling sleep, but claims that there was a misunderstanding. The main character then turns to Khed and says that it is not necessary. However, he only turns to Idris and asks why, but the girl claims that it is true, and Ethan was just trying to support her, so she asks him not to do it. The man then lowers his sword and turns around and leaves. He also tells Ethan not to try anything like that again, unless he wants to go into eternal sleep. The main character then, with tears in her eyes, tells Khed that everything is wrong and understands that if the guy like that leaves, they will no longer be able to laugh like before and touch each other and tell each other their secrets. And all because of her, and also because of her stupidity, she kept him at a distance, and now she claims that she doesn't want that. At this time, Ethan turns to the Archduchess and says that she needs to quickly go after the master because he is so angry because he values her very much. The girl then understands that she needs to run, after which she sets off on her journey, and understands that she will no longer doubt so as not to lose precious happy moments. After which the young lady immediately hugs the Archduke and realizes that she wants to be near him. The girl then turns to her beloved and claims that this is really a misunderstanding. Khed replies that he knows that there is nothing between them because she is not that kind of person. However, the girl claims that in order to be useful she needs to keep her distance for now, and she claims that this whole situation is a complete misunderstanding, because this is not what she meant. The man then asks why she didn't tell him then, and the girl replies that she was afraid of becoming a burden and that he has many responsibilities at Caltes, and she was worried that she was distracting him from work. She also knows that many people there dislike her and was afraid that this could have a negative effect on him. The Archduke only laughs nervously after this, and then with tears in his eyes he asks who the hell dared to tell her such nonsense. After all, let her say who it was, and he will make it so that he will never dare even come close to her. The girl replies that everyone thinks so, and she loves Khalid, but even she understands that she is unworthy of him for this reason. The young man then compliments her and asks if this is really why she avoided her, to which the girl replies yes, but she regrets it, and has already regretted 1,000 times that she started to behave like this, and now when he simply turned his back on her, she realized that she initially did the wrong thing. The Archduke then embraces the young lady and says that everything is okay, and he also realized that she is his wife, so the mere thought of her being treated like that breaks his heart. The guy also claims that her very existence is his meaning of life, and to see her as well as to touch and hear her voice is all he lives for, and she is his everything. So now the young man asks her not to think like that if she doesn't want to push him away intentionally. The girl replies that she never will, and she is sure that she will never want this and will not think about it anymore. The Archduke will then leave her this time to be near, and never leave him, after which the young lady says that she will never leave him. A little while later, the man is already looking at the papers and asks if she herself has considered all these projects. The girl replies that she just wanted to learn a little, and these are projects for the distribution of the budget for the next year. We then say that this is incredible and there is no need to think about them anymore, but his wife is such a good girl. He also claims that now they can be together, and a little longer the division is already decided, and the young lady then says that she has something for him. The girl also opens the chest of drawers, and she claims that it is a small gift, and because she worked herself up like a fool, she couldn't give it right away. The Archduke then says that she is not a fool, and the girl hands him the box and tells him to open it, after which the man does so, and looking at the red hairpin, thanks the young lady and also states that he will always wear it. The main character then says that she is glad that he liked her, and the man is only interested in how he could have liked a gift from his wife. The girl then claims that the brooch reminded her of his beautiful scarlet eyes, so she immediately bought it. The young man then claims that he will take care of her gift, and a little while later Ethan is already standing at the Archduke's door and understands that he needs to get ready because he has an urgent report, and he must gather up his courage and go in. The guy also thinks whether they have come to an agreement, after which he opens the door and goes to the Archduke. But he sees that these two get along well with each other, and Albert at this time turns to his wife and asks if she wants more. The girl then smiles and replies that no, and let him eat himself. The brunette replies that it is enough for him to just watch his wife sweetly gobble up the delicacies. And the main character then smiles and tells him to stop. Khalid at this time only tells Idris to eat better. The knight then thanks God that everything is fine, and then approaches the Archduke. And he claims that he has an urgent report for him, and the man asks if it is really that important, after which the confidant claims that it seems so, and the Archduke asks what is there. However, the guy only thinks that apparently everything has worked out, after which he wonders what he should do with the heir of the Florent family. After all, it seems his punishment is over, and the brunette only asks if the guy is talking about that fool, because for now he should not let him work with the budget. And this guy is too stupid so he can lose his temper, after which he asks if he really stopped by to see them today. The knight replies that he did, and he is waiting for an audience to apologize. However, the Archduke tells him to leave and let the boy tell Harold not to wander around his territories without permission anymore.